OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Alright, it's 7:30. It is Wednesday the 21st of December. So we're keeping everybody right. Colm is here. Colm, how are you?
Hi Ger. Hi Shane.
Shane's also here.
Good morning. Happy winter solstice, etc.
Shane, we're very lucky to be joined by the great man Colm, who has been cheating on us behind our backs.
Has he?
He's been using the show as a platform to try and wangle his way onto a slight tangent on Off the Ball on News Talk, the evening version of our show. And last night it was successful, and he came in this morning. I couldn't really sleep last night. I was too adrenalised after my amazing performance.
I don't recall saying that.
And like, so we're getting.
We've been used, basically.
But we have strict libel courses that we go on,
and we're getting
defamation like this.
We're getting.
This is unbelievable. I didn't say
like
that.
his you know.
The tired version.
Whatever phrase you want to use there, you can step in and use whatever phrase you want to use.
Yeah.
It was such a welcoming atmosphere. One could learn a lot. It was great, really. It was just
you were new and
it
fresh.
just felt just felt welcoming, and it felt open. It was like just.
That's because you're bringing all your.
And do you know what
A
they said actually? They were like, turn your chair there towards us. You don't have to look at the camera. It was quite nice, actually. It was just a nice. It was a lovely conversation.
Standards just go down.
It was a lovely conversation.
Not a great experience for the viewer, though, Colm.
It was 10.
The viewers are at home going, why are they ignoring
11
us?
hours ago.
Why are they making it a barrier for us to enjoy this?
11 hours ago. Jeez, town was mad. It was my first time in town midweek.
Are you ignoring
in a long
ignoring
time.
what we're saying?
Long time. It was thronged inside there.
Yeah.
Thronged now. I mean, okay, Christmas week, I'll give you that.
Man goes to City on Christmas week and finds it full of people.
I just said,
And
Christmas
bright
week,
lights.
I'll give you that. But I was like, oh man, I'm all over the place here because it's actually so peaceful here in the morning in town. It's a nice little calm to it.
It's lovely.
It is. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a privilege, sir, is what I'm trying to say, to be on the morning show.
Oh.
All right?
Oh.
I was there and I had a great time, but it didn't feel the same.
We should do an Elon Musk style poll. Should we just bump Colm to the evenings?
Are you digging?
Is that what we should do?
I thought it was canoe.
Is that?
Maybe
We can stick it in the YouTube comments. So, kick Colm out, basically, is the hashtag that we want to get trending before the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hashtag kick Colm out.
God, yeah. I mean, you would think of Christmas week, you'd be a bit more festive and a bit.
No,
bit
last
happier.
Christmas.
Yeah, I noticed
gave
you're
you
wearing
my
your
heart,
jumper.
But the very next day.
Yeah.
gave it away.
I noticed you're wearing your Colin jumper. I thought that would be safe for tomorrow, but you do feel like you felt a very Christmassy vibe off of yesterday. I kind of knew the jumper was coming, but a day early now.
What does that mean?
That you were happy. Jeez, not everything's an accusation. Like I was.
I mean, it is with you. It's all
I
right,
just
yeah.
I thought you were happy yesterday, or happier than a typical Tuesday.
We're all, yeah.
Anyway, loads happening.
What's happening, Colm? Come on, tell us.
Oh, well, Kathleen ran us through in the pre-show that there's an awful lot. I actually just can't believe that domestic football was back last night. I just cannot believe. Honestly,
Whoa.
Cork man.
Yeah. What?
What's wrong with you?
Domestic football. Where do you live?
All right, club football.
Where?
I couldn't believe that the League Cup was on. Like,
English club football was back.
English club football.
Wow.
Yes. And cross-channel soccer.
Union Jack
was coming
on
back. Yeah.
I did flick through, and it was like Hibs versus Rangers. I was like, nah, no way.
Apparently a classic.
Aberdeen
Rangers.
Aberdeen Rangers. Yeah.
Or good win there. Two in a row now. Celtic and Rangers heartbreaks.
Two last minute goals for Rangers. I saw later on live score. I was like,
Just got off it. Yeah.
Nothing in the world could draw me into that game last night.
It's tough to. The World Cup leaves you a bit sad with football because club football just doesn't cut it anymore. Right now, it doesn't. I mean, it'll be fine in the next day or two when we all settle and Stephen's Day comes, and the 27th comes, and there's a bit of Premier League, and we're like, oh, okay, I can get back on board with this.
He's like, what's Stephen's Day?
Yeah. Boxing Day.
Boxing Day
For you,
oh,
it would be Boxing Day.
That's a great day of football.
Yeah. Boxing Day.
We love it, mate.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, yeah, that's fair.
Were you watching White Lotus?
No, haven't seen it.
West Ham fan, features heavily.
Right.
Sings no perfect version of We're Forever Blowing Bubbles. Had a very important moment in the whole thing.
Okay. I was busy. I was watching the Sean Quinn documentary last night.
It's very good.
Oh, your people.
Yeah, we're obviously violent up in that part of the country.
Yeah. Oh, who gives you that? Oh, Alan Dukes.
Alan Dukes.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. We're,
North Kildare's Alan Dukes, not in any way connected. Oh, maybe he was South Kildare, was he?
You don't want to claim him, no.
very prominent in the documentary. I saw the last episode.
I've only seen episode 1 now, so I can't.
Was he wearing
episode 3 is incredible.
His weird little leather waistcoat. Snappy dresser for a former teacher.
Oh, very, very, yeah. Not very good documentary. So yeah, finding it tough to get back into the football. Like documentaries is my go-to around Christmas. Like relax, enjoy, put on something a bit more long form. I'll probably watch the match tonight at Old Trafford, to be honest. I'll throw it on.
Are you not excited to see what the genius Ten Hag can do?
Yeah, of course. In the post-Ronaldo era.
Well, now that he's free of the burden of having to
shackles are off.
Deal with the scowl.
Yeah. And Rashford has signed a new 1-year deal as well. I've seen in the papers this morning.
Well, they triggered a contract.
Triggering the contract. Yeah. So that'll keep PSG off the tails.
No, it won't. It's just doing a good bit of business to make sure that PSG are going to pay full price that they're going to pay. Get him out.
Yeah, fair.
Vinny was very impressed with them.
Ten Hag recruited those 2 consultants as well to help with the refocus after the World Cup for the players, so we'll see it in full swing tonight against Burnley.
This is definitely, I think, one of the worst parts of modern football culture, is that a club does something that you would expect them to do and it becomes massive back page news.
I think it's because it's really niche, isn't it?
No,
it's
actually, the opposite niche.
The actual written description is quite niche.
But like,
we were going to a consultant specifically hired to re-energise and refocus people.
Well, that's just
is basically what they're doing anyway. But there was an actual column written about it with a certain company.
Bullshit. That's what that is. Well, I'm trying to find the book of the guy. Do you remember worked with Roy Keane? We had him on with Stuart Lancaster. I can't see the name of the book there, but anyway, Man United have had these people working around the club for 30 years. Like, but it's mind guru. Psych doctor. And you're like, really, tabloid press?
In the context of the World Cup and it's mid-season is why it sticks out. Generally, maybe you hire these consultants in the off-season. On
an ongoing basis all the time?
See, these guys are professional athletes. They need to be ready to come back from a World Cup. And like, I was seeing all these back page headlines. Scott McTominay, I was texting Sandro Martinez yesterday and I was like, well done. And he was like, yes, now we go for the next one. We go again. And I was so impressed. And I was like, what do you mean? Of course he's going to say that.
Yeah.
He has to come back to United and tend to want to win trophies again.
Yeah, and I think the next one wasn't the next World Cup. I think the next one was like the next tournament to his mate.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the next one. You know, you can have a bit of this too.
Yeah.
Scotty, because you ain't never going to qualify for a World Cup, pal.
Let's win the Carabao. I mean, if you're Lisandro Martinez and you win, like, say, the Carabao Cup this season, are you excited?
Are you not both legitimately excited about things in Manchester United at the moment? I mean, obviously, I'm trying to puncture your excitement.
I was. I'm just. It's more about club football, like domestic football. You know, it's back now, and I feel like I'm not really. I can't get into it. I was saying actually yesterday to someone that I haven't said like the words out loud on air, Manchester United or Liverpool or Manchester City in a month, and it's very refreshing, and it actually goes to show like that there is something very nice and kind of a gathering of large masses when countries play each other, and you kind of forget
it's far
about
superior.
it.
It's far superior.
There's just something. I don't know. It just captures the imagination a bit more.
It's why. It's why the Nations League is a really good idea, because it gives some meaning to the matches in between. Obviously, it's not as important, and we don't think it's ever going to be as important. But it does certainly help with those international friendlies being completely meaningless, and the tournaments matter more. And that's why it. I mean, a World Cup every 3 years. Okay, we can't have it every 2 years.
Not Arsene Wenger's
every 3 years.
No, but there's something about the passion and camaraderie of international teammates that you could have the tightest knit bunch of club players around, but it still doesn't surpass like countries gathering.
One of the French players was being accused of being a toxic presence after being dropped. And have you seen the Mbappe halftime? Johnny Sexton.
I mean,
that was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't amazing. It was exactly what you'd expect, but the fact that he was doing it, like.
Yeah, considering he did a bad first half himself.
Yeah, but like he is genuinely the leader, and he stood up and he did everything he said he'd do, and
even though he was only an 8 out of 10, obviously, because even though he scored a hat trick, but
we got him to 9.
We got him to 9, even though he was clearly a 10. I've been following the BBC Sports Personality of the Year chase quite closely. The award has been given out tonight. I know you'll have been following this. Colin BBC, of course, your domestic channel.
It's great awards.
Yeah, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
I've never watched it. Is it?
I don't really care for watching it. I like watching the montages and getting to know each athlete beforehand. But I mean, Ronnie O'Sullivan's 47 years of age. He's won 7 world titles, and he has never won sports personality. And as you were saying before the show started, if it's to go off personality, never mind sporting talent or prowess, Ronnie O'Sullivan, it's a disgrace that he's never won it.
When they say personality, they probably prefer unassuming types who are just brilliant at what they do, and they probably don't want Ronnie up there. It's like when Mickey Rourke missed out on the Oscar for The Wrestler, and he won every other award that season, but they didn't want him up on stage saying mad stuff, like, because he went up on stage of the Golden Globes and would just shoot it off about 15 years of effing up his career and giving examples. And they're like, we don't want that at the Academy Awards. See Ronnie O'Sullivan. We don't want them going up in his acceptance speech being like, oh, this is all a load of nonsense anyway. But thanks.
Yeah,
they don't want that.
They do pick there. I'm just looking through the list. Like Beckham, obviously 01. You've
Beckham's perfect for it.
Radcliffe, Johnny Wilkinson, Kelly Holmes, Freddie Flintoff.
For what they want.
Giggsy in 09.
Giggsy, give it Giggsy in the season.
AP McCoy won in 2010.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Andy Murray, 3-time winner. Lewis Hamilton's picked up a rake of them as well.
I think there was a massive campaign to get Tony McCoy because that was his last year.
Yeah.
Or was it the year he broke the record? It wasn't his last year. He's not retired 12 years, is he? Jesus, he couldn't be. But that required a massive season-long campaign from the racing community to. So you can't just show up in December.
No, of course. Darren Clark finished second to Mark Cavendish in 2011.
Oh.
Mark Cavendish and Darren Clark together. What a great night.
And who was? Tell you who was third? Mo Farah.
Wow.
So there you go.
Mo Farah seems to be a very good human being.
He did win. Well, he won it in 2017. Mo Farah, Sports Personality of the Year. Last year's winner was Emma Raducanu, well deserved, ahead of Tom Daly. I don't know. Beth Mead is she's going to win it tonight apparently. Golden Boot and England's star from the Euro 2022.
Does anybody really care about this?
No, but we do over there. Yeah.
Do you?
It's a big thing for us.
The only thing I care about, I care about Ronnie O'Sullivan having never won it, because snooker it represents snooker being misrepresented and ignored. Because if it's personalities that are being picked, then give it to Ronnie.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I don't think they want to repeat the mistake of when remember when Wayne Rooney won it when he was only a young fella at Everton and he showed up chewing gum and the tie was down. And
was that the main award or was that the young?
Was it the? Was it young?
It was young.
Yeah, but even then, I don't think they want to repeat anyone who's not going to play along the media game. It was young, but they want someone who's like Beckham's perfect for it. Andy Murray's ideal for it. He's going to thank you very much, and obviously he's brilliant as well. But I think with the Ronnie factor, he's just too much of a maverick and. They don't want him to say anything.
I do think David Beckham is perfect for it. This is exactly the type of award that he should be winning, as opposed to like a World Class Footballer Award. Knighthood, whatever you want. That's his
1st of December. He should be. Well, he got second best player in the world around the same time. Hence why he got BBC Sports.
He was world class.
He got it because he came back from having an effigy burned of him after 1998.
He got it because he started in midfield against Bayern Munich out of position in the Champions League final.
He was
and they won the treble, and it was his best season.
Michael Owen won it in 1998. But you see,
what?
Michael Owen.
2001. Sports personality.
Sports personality,
yeah.
But then, sports, F1 isn't ignored. Damon Hill won it in 94, Nigel Mansell in 92, Hill again in 96, actually. My whole point for bringing it up, I don't really care who wins it, and Beth Mead will win it tonight, but Ronnie O'Sullivan being ignored is what's really got me.
Is it classist? Do you think
very classist?
Do you think that this society, which is based on a weird hierarchical system, might have a disrespect for the lower working classes?
100%. And snooker is one of those sports. It's naturally it's the sign of a misspent youth, as they say. As Jimmy White has said himself. So I do think it's one of those sports that people turn their noses up at.
Maybe if he wins, he could send someone up on his behalf to accept the award, like Marlon Brando did.
Oh yeah,
Godfather 2.
Yeah,
that'd be strong. I wouldn't put that past Ronnie. He could do anything. He's such a good interviewee, isn't he?
He's the greatest personality in British sport they've ever had.
100%.
Bradley Wiggins, he's a former winner.
I can't argue with that, Shane. He is mesmerising to watch in every sense of the word.
There was apparently a documentary filmed during his world title win last year, and I don't know if it's for Netflix or what it is, but I'm looking forward to seeing that when it's finally made. So
is he going through this phase the last 3 to 4 years where he's regularly saying when interviewed I don't really care about this game anymore, I kind of just play it?
He's always done that though.
It feels to me that it's been highlighted particularly in the last number of years, or maybe he's just doing more media, but it just feels to me that he kind of has a disdain for the sport.
I think it's more he enjoys doing other things more now. He enjoys doing media at a snooker event more than he enjoys playing at that event. It takes the pressure off him because he knows when he's knocked out, he doesn't really care.
Is it a defence mechanism so that if he loses, he's saying, well, I told you I don't care about it?
Possibly.
And also, he's saying that the generation coming through aren't that special.
Yeah, he's right there, but that's just that's because the sport is being ignored. No, it's been Barry Hearn has helped it a lot, but I think he's called them numpties. I once interviewed him in Drogheda, and he came out with this little. I started asking him about the quality of the younger players in the sport, and he showed me the mug he was drinking tea out of, and literally just said numpties, and he said that's what they are.
Jeez.
He was ready to go.
He's bigger than the sport, though, isn't
Does he carry the numpties mug around with him?
He must. He just happened to have it on him at that particular point, but he.
Is he bigger than the sport?
Yeah, he probably is. There's probably a number of different sports that have a personality that's bigger. Was Federer bigger than tennis? Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No.
No.
I think Granny's entertainment surpasses the game. No.
Well, Tiger Woods, obviously.
Yeah, Tiger Woods. Yeah.
Right, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Pardon me, here's what's coming up between now and 10 o'clock on OTB AM. Cam's Connacht is what we're calling it. You, the Connacht fans, demanded, we've listened, we're bringing you Cameron's highlights of the year, top 5, bottom 5. Around the world with Shane Hannon. Sports News at 8:45. I think it's Cathal Mullaney today. Sinead Kehoe is going to give us documentaries to watch over the Christmas break. Jenny Claffey's going to give us her tennis moment of the year. If the number one tennis moment of the year isn't the two lads bawling, crying beside each other.
No, you forget it was like Djokovic at the very start of the year. That was madness. That took over the news.
When was Alcaraz? What month?
When he won, September. Start of September.
Yeah.
He won the US Open.
That was brilliant.
Was actually Alcaraz's breakthrough is probably bigger in the springtime, March, April. We were on here talking about he was the best player in the world at that point, and he became world number one in September. But he had an inconsistent summer. Like Federer and Nadal, that was crazy. That Friday night, they had match point as well to win that his last ever game, and they lost it. But for me, I know Djokovic. I think we forget it because it was all the way back in January. That Djokovic story is madness.
I mean, it was, but
that was madness.
The two lads crying is like all time
picture.
Yeah.
I think they were both just so sad because they were getting older. You know, they just saw it right there in front of them. Oh my God, this really is it. Nadal became a father subsequently too.
That could have been what would have happened.
That's why he's crying.
I mean, Messi and Ronaldo, we could have had that moment. We could have had that lovely little moment of the two of them crying together, hugging it, letting it all out after a year of being foes. And in the final or in any game, but it's just not going to happen anymore because Ronaldo.
They were on opposite sides of the draw. I wonder would we have preferred that?
The tears and the
like a Ronaldo hat trick in the final and they lose. Is he still storming off, or is he like, yeah, I scored a hat trick, I'm delighted?
Yeah, he's happy. He's happy enough in himself. Individual honours.
They should play doubles foot tennis to call it a day.
You know the way everybody's like, oh, you couldn't script a World Cup final, no one would believe you. If you were to script it and Ronaldo was to lose, what would be the most dramatic and best
the way in which France and Mbappe lost?
For him to lose?
A hat-trick, losing hat-trick.
I think the most dramatic way would be if it went to a penalty shootout and Ronaldo had a chance to win the shootout.
Number 5.
And missed.
5th penalty.
And then it went to sudden death. Then it went to sudden death. And then within 60 seconds, the opposition won. That would be, and then Messi's gone mental. That would be the ultimate.
Is it not just miss the penalty to keep the minute?
No, I would say to win it, because he would never ever get over that ever.
Ronaldo was priors.
A penalty to win the World Cup for Portugal, and he misses, and then within a minute, because it's sudden death now, Argentina win it.
And he does miss big penalty. He missed the 08 Champions League final shootout penalty. So
Ronaldo, better record than Messi though. Messi's record vastly improved over the World Cup. He only missed one.
Yeah, to be fair.
I mean,
he did 28% miss record heading into the World Cup.
Every time you were standing over one, you were like, "This is not going to end well. This is why you're doing this."
I think we're talking about his penalty.
Could you not
in
find
the shootout enough?
No, it was amazing.
Passed it into the net, and it wasn't that much in the corner.
Well,
it wasn't in the corner at all.
Yeah.
The reason it wasn't as impressive to me is because Hugo Lloris jumped about a year before he took it. It's like, oh yeah, there you go, Leo.
A running team.
Just put it there. I'm going to dive over here.
I think it made it though because it rolled so slowly that Lloris was like, what? Like right next to it, just watching.
Yeah.
He'd already committed to the other side, but that was a remarkable penalty. I mean, if he meant exactly that, which let's imagine he did, Messi, that thinking is incredible.
Sorry, I got a message last night on Instagram from Bob Dwyer, our OTB AM resident Spurs fan. He says, here's one for you in the morning. Hugo Lloris' runner-up record, right? Premier League 16-17, League Cup in 2015 and 2021, Champions League in 2019, World Cup 2022, Euros 2016, and if he does the FA Cup this season, he finishes the Grand Slam, the Losers Grand Slam. Doesn't have a great record in the finals, the big finals. I mean, is he the choker we all forgot about? Because he can't save a penalty either.
He's a World Cup winner.
Fair.
That wriggles you off any hook. I won a World Cup, doesn't matter.
True, yeah.
It's not great.
Does it make up for everything else?
I mean, the reason is because he's decided to stay at Spurs for over a decade, who famously don't win trophies. So, I mean, that's probably... I mean, if he went to another club, I don't think he would prevent another club winning trophies. But the
likes of Lloris and Kane look back in their careers, their club careers, and say, well, I mean...
It depends on what trophies mean, but I mean, you hear it all the time, the platitudes of players like, oh, we want to win the trophies. I mean, I don't know how many of them really actually genuinely care about winning trophies, other than like being well paid and playing well and really enjoying their football. I would imagine trophies are a bonus to a lot of them, not all of them. I imagine some of them really, really do want to win trophies.
I think trophies comes above money. Once you have a certain amount of money already made, you're like, well, now I'd like to win a few trophies. I mean, unless you're Asu Akato or these guys who don't care about football, but I don't know. Well,
Kane was seduced by Conte to stay around at Spurs, because remember when Nuno took over, he was gone. He probably should have gone.
Out the gap.
Probably should have gone.
Sorry, it's hardly news a Spurs player losing, but yeah.
Well, no, it was interesting.
Can I just mention before we move on, just Colum's your Christmas habits? I was talking about how fun you must be at parties this morning, because you revealed your so you have an Excel sheet. Now, folks, if you at home have an Excel sheet for your Christmas buying presents, I first of all feel sorry for you, but second of all, you're not alone, because Colm, you talk us through this.
The process,
the process behind your gift.
He's obviously got 10 siblings, lots of grandkids, and thousands of people to buy for.
Yeah, that must be it.
Well, my thinking, I was generous. Like it was gifting presents to people, Shane, to other people. Thinking about other people.
How many people are on your list?
As you said there, it's a lot of family this year. A lot of people gathering. So I'm getting mixed up about what I'm getting for who.
Right.
And so I bought in bulk there about a week ago. I just went mad in the shops one day, like yourself there last night. I was just getting... Do you ever know, if you buy one thing, the momentum is unbelievable. Like you just keep on buying and buying and buying. So then I bought loads of stuff, shoved it up there to the top of the wardrobe so people wouldn't see. And then I was like, I can't remember what I bought for anyone. So then took them aside and was like, okay, I'm going to forget all this. So I started an Excel sheet. Don't knock it, folks. What you do is name, wrapped, yes, no, ordered, delivered, so you know where the status is, because some of them were ordered online. And you can have the price if you want, so your budget is good. Look, laugh all you want. Laugh all you want. You'll honestly...
I will.
Is this the A-grade content that they got on a slight tangent last night?
Listen, you asked. I did not bring this up. This was not in my pre-show plans.
Welcome to
Kathleen's.
Do we have some results in there, Ger? We had a Twitter poll that was put up. Now, call him a Tony, but...
Get him out of there, 72%.
Oh my God, did that go up?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
What was the question?
Fine, keep him 27%. Since he made his debut on the PM show last night and won't shut up about it, should we politely ask Colin Bowie to leave OTB AM? # kick Colin out. 72%, get him out of there.
Unbelievable. After all I've done for this show.
Yeah, well, if Elon's going to abide by his crappy Twitter polls, then we should do the same.
Well, it'd be good to have a bit of time off.
You should tweet today. You should ask people if you should start a podcast.
Spend more time on my Excel sheets.
No more time. No, you'll be unable to sleep every night.
Huh? Oh, what you mean?
Maybe if we kick you out, Colm, you could start your own podcast. You should put up a Twitter poll and ask people if you should start a podcast.
Like me and Jimmy Heaslip together.
See how that goes.
Yeah. No, that's good. That gives you a bit more time now with the Excel sheets. A bit of time in January. I wouldn't mind it. Wasn't thinking of a career break yet, but
no,
if that's what people want, I'm happy to step aside. Like, the show's doing fine.
If anyone from Microsoft Excel is listening, there you go. Yeah.
Thanks, lads.
Yeah. No, sorry, I haven't tried it, so I'm not going to knock it. Your process, your Christmas buying process, because I was running around like a headless chicken around the shops last night with the earphones in. I had to listen to music while I was doing it. Like Kathleen was saying, she walked past me and I didn't notice her whatsoever. I was like, completely in this D zone / A zone. Yeah, it terrified me. And then queuing up. I think when you're from outside Dublin and you're queuing up with all the city people and you're like, what's going on here? Like,
go on.
It doesn't. It's not a comfortable situation to be in.
What, being in a queue with dubs?
With dubs, yeah. Well, them being in a queue with cultures as well can't be too comfortable. But there's just something about shopping in Dublin around Christmas that it's a little bit. What's the opposite of life affirming?
A little bit scary.
A little bit scary. Yeah. So it's one of those things. None of us are from the city, so you can all understand, I guess, where I'm coming from here. It's a scary process, and I think once you drive home to Monaghan at Christmas, which will be me now on Friday afternoon, you can feel the weight of the world just slowly leaving you as you descend into the mist of the north and the violent people up there.
How many presents is Colin buying that warrant an Excel sheet? Asks Shambles. It's a very good question, Shambles. How many?
I told you several for different people.
Several,
yeah.
So between 3 and 5.
Minimum, yeah. There's more, like it's getting into double figures, yeah.
All right.
You buy little bits for people, you know. Yeah. If you care about people, you put a bit of effort in.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, you know. It's a good lesson.
There's something in that.
Is it
you don't hang your own out to dry, like, you know. Be one thing. That'll be one thing to do.
consumerism is important to you, is it?
No. Appreciation of others would be the top of my list.
Do you lads
And a
get...
happy Christmas to all.
I came on here all fine, like.
A good night.
Then I'm attacked by my own
No, you weren't.
when I'm
attacked.
inside here.
You weren't attacked.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
Do you lads get emotional at the Christmas ads on TV, or are you completely
Do us, lads?
oblivious to it? Or is the capitalism washing over you?
No, I
or-
got emotional about something on TV the other day, and it was very random that I did.
There was the old Christmas ad. Remember the old man on the moon, the John Lewis ad?
Yeah,
Where the wee girl has the telescope. And
the
she's
Lewis
looking up
ads insist upon themselves too much, so I'm like, I know they're just trying to make me cry.
I know.
I did like the one, the skateboarding stepdad.
It was
figure
very good,
was quite
yeah.
nice. But no, there was something on TV there the other day, and it was I was just choking up. Like, happens every so often.
the McDonald's ad, is it?
What one's that?
Well, the kids' Christmas list blows off into the
Ether.
sky,
And they have to get McDonald's as a result.
and that's it.
McDonald's for Christmas is depressing enough, right? I cry over that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with McDonald's.
At Christmas.
Really, as part of a balanced diet.
True.
They were out doing the Christmas shopping. It wasn't actually Christmas Day. Why would he have his Christmas list on Christmas Day? Santa's already been.
I don't know. Well, so you're doing your wrapping on Christmas Eve, aren't you? That's late. What if
That's
something
when I
happens?
do it. I do it at
Yeah.
midnight. I do it when I come home from the pub on Christmas
You gotta
Eve.
wrap as you go.
Yeah, no.
Wrap
No,
as you go.
well,
You'll thank yourself Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, you want to relax, like. You want to get into it. Jojo was telling me there in Brazil, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are the two big days, and they don't have a Boxing Day like we would.
We don't have a Boxing Day
They go
either.
straight back to
What's
to
Boxing
work.
Day?
Stephen's Day.
Stephen's Day, sorry.
Yeah. Our Boxing Day. They do Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
No, Stephen's Day, or it's
No.
their
Their
Stephen's Day.
Christmas dinners on Christmas Eve.
Right.
Yeah. 7:57.
Happy Christmas, folks.
Excel sheets for Prezzies. Love it, but couldn't be arse, says 2009 John B.
Serious bit of effort. I'm actually...
Lads, you should see how minimal the Excel sheet is. Like, there's no formulas designed or anything. It's literally, I'm going to forget about all of these presents, and a pen and paper just won't cut it because I'll probably lose it.
Let's briefly talk about the transfer window that's forthcoming. How excited are you as Manchester United fans about what's going to happen?
You're seeing some names they're being linked with. You're seeing Jude Bellingham as one name.
Kathleen there was saying that Real Madrid are in pole position, £100 million deal. It's reported in the papers.
He's going to be linked to a number of clubs.
I think he'll go Madrid. I think he'll stay away for a while.
I think paper never refused ink.
I saw one.
This time of year, definitely.
There's one United rumours page I follow on Twitter, and Kylian Mbappe was the name being linked with Old Trafford yesterday.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
It's going to be a month of that, isn't it? And then signing no one.
I have to admit, Shane, I don't know about you, I just don't care about United transfers right now. Maybe when the games resume in their numbers. It's just at the moment I'm just in that World Cup recovery phase.
I think by the weekend or by Stephen's Day, I'll be.
You'll lose yourself if you don't get back into it quickly.
Well, we have Christmas, and then when the window actually opens on New Year's Day, then I'll start thinking about
You've
it.
got to get back into it.
And also in January, I'm never really that excited about it from United's perspective. Like, famously, Evra and Vidic were signed in the January window.
Yeah.
And
Was Berbatov, was that a January?
No, sure, that was the last day of the August window in 2008.
Him and Robinho on the same day.
yeah. When Robinho thought he was signing for United. Yeah.
That was the most exciting transfer window
it's
deadline
incredible.
day I've ever seen.
I'd say either that or the January 2011 one, which was Suarez, Torres and Carroll.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
Torres to Chelsea was just massive at the time. Like,
Have the transfer windows dwindled in interest because of modern technology and obsession with every detail? Like, we know a deal can't be completed in secret anymore, can it?
No, that's a good point. It's a good point for a slight tangent, actually. That is interesting because I think Sky Sports News had it to themselves. They sort of had a monopoly on the coverage, or certainly a duopoly with BBC. But I think you're right. Like you could argue, like, what's the point of Sky Sports News anymore? The 24/7 news cycle, because social media is so far ahead of it in terms of latest breaking news, so people consume it there. But sure, like Sky Sports after the dildo in the year, like, they kind of went down from there. There's actually a graphic, like, to suggest that the interest levels went down, and also they lost Jim White.
Yeah, the yellow tie
thing. But I do like a Sky Sports News deadline day still. I do like the yellow bar. Sky have a good old production when it comes to transfers.
Frankie de Jong, he might sign for United potentially.
I mean, we've heard he certainly has. He been linked?
His name was linked again in the papers this morning. Like.
Right, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs. For an effortless finish today. After the break, Cameron joins us to answer the YouTube comments demanding that we cover more Connacht on the show. That's the only reason we're doing it.
OTB AM. on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
The Club Championship Show on OTB Sports.
Brilliant game of hurling, edge your seat stuff. Tony Kelly, masterclass from start to finish.
To win a Connacht Senior Championship is it's special.
Even the fridge, I was waiting for the kitchen sink to read.
Kitchen sink, yes.
Don't miss a moment of the GA Club Championship. Download the OTB Sports app, subscribe to the GA podcast feed and watch the Club Championship Show every Wednesday across OTB's social channels.
Are you a sports fanatic who loves to travel? Then sportspass.ie is for you. Log on for the chance to win the trip of a lifetime in 2023 to a top global sporting event. 8 winners get to choose from 12 incredible prizes, including trips to the Women's World Cup in Australia, the Super Bowl, the Masters and WrestleMania. All prizes include return flights, accommodation and tickets for 2 people from anywhere in the world. That's sportspass.ie. You win, you choose.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
8:minute, Cameron. Our own Cameron Hill. That is quite the jersey.
As opposed to the other Cameron Hills out there.
Yeah, there's plenty of Cameron Hills.
If you look up Cameron Hill on Google Images,
what comes up?
I'm like
The only one.
Yeah, I'm like the small moon in Star Wars, or the Death Star in this. It's all American basketball players, generally African American.
Right.
So I'm the small speck in my
you're not small. You're not small
national school.
You're not small.
No, I mean in stature, Shane.
Stature, you're
in
big.
status.
Yeah.
Huge, but you know.
Why a Claremont jersey in studio and not a Connacht jersey?
I actually don't have a Connacht jersey.
You don't have a Connacht jersey?
No, and there's a very good reason for that. I keep getting them traded, so when I go on away days, I wear, like, I've been to a few different Ireland games and like abroad, and I always wear a Connacht jersey because, you know, it's also green and, you know, better than an Ireland jersey. It's just a fact. They're lovely jerseys. So much so that I get approached quite a bit asking, do you want to swap jersey? So I got this one, this tidy little number, Claremont jersey, at the Champions Cup final this year, because we went along because I was with a friend in Lyon, and we said, we go down to Marseille for that. And yeah, so I wore my Connacht training top.
You did have a Connacht top, right?
A Connacht training top, Shane. It wasn't even a jersey, and someone was like, I'd love a bit of that.
A French person?
Yes.
So you gave a French person a Connacht training top in exchange for a Claremont playing jersey?
Yeah. A beautiful Claremont playing jersey.
That's a good deal.
Such is the status of Connacht, honestly. Which is, I can see why people get so frustrated that we don't talk about them.
Is that the status?
Yeah, but also just, you know, prestigious in their own right. I mean, we're finally talking about them.
The Bows of the rugby world, is that what you're saying?
Sort of. I suppose, like, always underappreciated, undervalued as well. Like, there's a reason I think we picked the shortest day of the year to talk about Connacht, because, you know, just the level of disrespect that's shown. But look, we're used to it. We let our record speak for itself, and
we still have 24 hours in this day, by the way. So I mean, we can take our time.
Yeah. But the symbolism isn't lost to me, Shane.
What was Queenie's point? Was Queenie's point not like on the nose? You know, you're always giving out. We'll qualify for the bloody Heineken Champions Cup.
That is a very good point, and I suppose when I go over this year, that's probably one of the big disappointments from 2022 for Connacht, is that we didn't qualify, and we went down in flames a little bit.
How many highlights and lowlights do you have for us?
I've got 3 lowlights and 3 highlights that I've kind of interspersed, because I don't want it all to be negative, because, you know, in Connacht,
it's Christmas.
In Connacht, it's raining quite a bit.
No.
Yeah.
Is it raining Galway?
No, it never rains at Galway.
Is there traffic?
I am surprised that there hasn't been a move to like put a roof on the stadium, because like if you put a roof on the stadium, it would be amazing, and like it would just be the venue for everything. Everything would.
We don't want it for everything.
Why not?
Do Connacht not have a good home record though because of the rain? Generally speaking.
I mean, if you've
it
seen
no
that
longer
video,
suits their style of play. Like they want to be creative and aggressive with the ball and have. And that have been since Pat Lam's era.
Yes,
really,
absolutely.
So,
but we don't. You know, the sports ground's the sports ground. If we could use Pierce Stadium, but no. Sports ground has its own specific atmosphere of greyhound racing track, with a rugby pitch inside. Like, it's perfect. It's so unique in its own way.
Are they getting rid of the greyhound racing track? Pardon my ignorance here. Is that part of the long-term plan, or will it always have a greyhound track?
I think it'll always have a greyhound track.
Okay.
I think it's a permanent fixture. But no, the sports ground, I don't think you could ever change it fundamentally. If we were going to move or change the venue, we'd have to go somewhere else, because the way that ground is set up with the two terraces with absolutely no covering or seating at all, it's special because you stand in the rain and you watch Connacht pull off a famous victory against Toulouse or something. That's the atmosphere. We don't need the trimmings.
Is that the coldest in-person sporting experience in Ireland? At Sportsground. Pierce Stadium is up there. The Dr. Hyde, I remember being at a league match, Roscommon Monaghan years ago. Is Navan bad?
Navan is freezing.
The racecourse or Parktalton?
Parktalton.
Yeah. See, there's some horrific experiences.
This is a good question. So there will be answers to this one. Get them into us.
Healy Park in Oma is
at Off the Ball AM.
When it's raining sideways, sometimes it's right in your face. It's not good.
From personal experience, but apparently the gantry at the Brandywell is the coldest thing ever in the League of Ireland, because it's just a ladder and it's in the middle of.
Well, even the Aviva Stadium, hasn't Nathan and Stewie Byrne had some grim experiences up there in the
up there
top
be cold
bins of the Aviva Stadium. That's
okay. Let's get back to Connacht here. Right. So we're going to start with the bad, or we're going to start with the good?
We'll start with the bad. We'll go somewhat chronologically. So we started 2022 as we often do, with a level of optimism. We were riding somewhat high. On the 1st of January we beat Munster 10-8, and that was great because we beat Munster and they were having a nice old crisis, which is, Munster's difficulty is always Connacht's opportunity. Anyway, going into the Champions Cup, I think we needed a few wins to qualify for the last 16, and we were leading by 18 points against Leicester at the Sportsground, 28-10. Managed to find a way to lose that game in the last minute, so we lose 28-29 or 29-28
to Steve Borthwick. It's actually your fault. Look on.
Yeah, it is. So I wish him every great success as England head coach. We go to Stade Francais. We've lost 3 of our 4 props in that Leicester game, and then 2 more in the lead up to this game. So we had no Dennis Buckley, no Finlay Bealham, Matthew Burke, Robertson McCoy, Ainger, Famuyiga. I mean, at a certain point, I was like, should I offer my services as prop? Is that how bad? Are they going to make a call to arms? Because we are hemorrhaging props, it seems.
We're in trouble.
Went over. Carty was phenomenal that day. Really was fantastic. We were gifted a red card to the Stadiste in the second half, and we had an 11-point lead. We were going to win in Paris. This was huge, 31-20. Then Conor Oliver gets yellow. Stad get its second win, score 2 converted tries and a penalty for good measure, and we lose 37-31. Just one of those ones where we nearly got there and the odds were against us, and turns out the odds were correct. But it was very frustrating to watch, and it was a horrible way to end our Champions Cup pool campaign, which culminated in a last 16 tie against Leinster, which was fun until it wasn't fun.
Connacht always seem to lose in exciting ways, it's those leads.
Yeah. We're box office one way or the other. We are should I say this? I support Leeds United as well, and it's kind of the same thing where win or lose, they're always unmissable games.
Yeah, Jesse Marsh and Andy Friend, similar in those regards. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, next.
A highlight. So one of the bright sparks of 2021 and 2022 was the arrival of an Australian young renegade named Mackenzie Hansen, or Mac to friends. I am a friend. Came over to the province from the Brumbies, a real coup by Andy Friend, signed back in April of 2021, and he was exploding out of the blocks. He was brilliant. He scored that wonderful try against the Bulls, had a difficult start to 2022, missed out on his European debut against Leicester, and then played in the Stade Francais game, was included in Andy Farrell's Six Nations squad, had an amazing game against Wales, nearly scored with his first touch of the game, and set up a couple of tries to, hand out a fairly convincing win over the Welsh, which is always satisfying. And
these are 2022 highlights, right?
Yeah, 2022.
If you told me Mac Hansen made his debut for Ireland in 2020 or 2021, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Is it really this year?
Yeah.
That's mad.
He was included. It was kind of a shock. We were like, wow, Mac is good, and clearly if he's starting in the first game of the Six Nations, he must be really impressing in training as well. And he was just, he was electrifying. It's so much fun to watch him. I mean, I was in the Stade de France for France-Ireland in February, and that game felt like it was kind of getting away from us. And then Joey Carberry restarts, Mac Hansen picks it off and scores a try. Like, it was one of the great whoa moments of 2022. I think of rugby that I've ever really seen. Just turning that game on a dime like that. He has that kind of X factor, and he's a style icon with the long hair flowing out of a white scrum cap. Like, we're so lucky to have him. Brilliant guy.
I like Mike Hansen then.
I like Mike Hansen.
And so, it being Connacht, the clock is ticking on where his next move is to, right? When does he join Leinster, do you think?
Hopefully never. I don't know if Mac would do that to us. I think he saw the...
Have you not had your heart broken enough, Cameron, to know that nothing lasts forever in this
I think he's seen
rain?
how poorly the Robbie Henshaw move worked out for him.
It didn't work out
and has decided, no, not for me. Connacht's a Galliv McCree, and he's going to stay where he is, because we've given him so much. We, Brumbies, who are they? Australia, what? We gave him a second chance at a rugby career, and by God did he take it.
All joking aside, though, it has been absolutely sensational, and he absolutely looks the part.
I can't believe that was 2022 either. Time is a construct of human perception, of course, but it definitely feels like it was more than this calendar year ago.
Yeah.
That's the impact he's had.
Like yeah. Oh, he's been brilliant. Started in 2 of the New Zealand tests as well down there. So, yeah, he's made an impact.
France away was his first, or Paris away was his first away game, according to Mark in the comments.
Paris was his first away game.
Paris was his first away game, yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah, but he had his home debut against Wales. Moving on to the low light. I have the title and I'm just going to read it out. We lost 56-8 to Edinburgh.
Say that again, Cameron.
56 points to 8.
Against who?
Edinburgh.
Okay.
50 burger against Edinburgh. That's not good.
No, it wasn't. We were still kind of in search of our Champions Cup berth. We were going to get there. We had to get top 8. This could be Edinburgh, they're grand. We can do this. We'd had back-to-back wins over Scarlets, Stormers. We were riding high. And then we were leading 8-0 after 20 minutes. Looked comfortable. Carty running things in attack. Fairly, run-of-the-mill win for Connacht. And then, I don't know what happened.
What did happen?
Buffelli scored a try and the rest is a blur. And it's not like I hate watched it. Like I was like, I'm doing this for my, to appeal to my own sense of sadomasochism. I don't know why I kept watching. I was expecting, maybe they'll get, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like we were 21 points to 8 down at half time and I thought, this can't go on. They'll come out, second half, it'll be all fine. Failed to gather the restart. Edinburgh score again. It was
like the Ulster game last weekend. It's almost like it could have been worse. I know 56-8 is horrendous, but I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah. What's the stop, he's already dead meme from
no amount of deep fried Mars bars can soothe a result like that for Connacht fans.
No, and it's Edinburgh, If it was like Leinster, fine. We'd be fine with this because they are dominant.
Expect it.
Edinburgh that's a team we should be not losing by nearly 50 points to.
Keeping with the hipster theme, your next one is the Senior Cup final.
Yeah, and I picked this just because it's a nice little community aspect to Connacht Rugby, because we had our first final in 2 years, first Senior Cup final in 2 years. I think we were the only province to have a Senior Cup final in 2020 because everyone else's was cancelled due to a pesky little joke called COVID-19. But the Senior Cup in Connacht is kind of a special atmosphere. There's 2 major rugby strongholds in Galway and Sligo, and the Jazz are kind of running Galway now at this stage. The Grammar, obviously the Kings and Sligo, although Summerhill are coming up this year. But there's always a really nice atmosphere. It kind of brings out the tribalist nature of rugby at a community level in a way that the AIL does to an extent, but not really in Connacht because we only have a handful of clubs in it. But the Senior Cup is special. It's always been a special atmosphere, and I unfortunately wasn't there. I was trying to make my way over.
You were the Grammar.
We were the Grammar, yeah.
Okay. Do you call them the Gram or something for short?
No, that's a popular social media app, as I recall. Yeah. But we're the Grammar, and we won, and that's also why I've included this.
Okay.
Because my brother was on the team and had a good game.
You had skin in the game.
I had skin in the game, and I'm nothing if not totally biased.
What's the Jez? What the Jez stands for?
They're Colosta Ignáj, but they're the Jez because I think they're run by the Jesuits.
Okay. It's I mean, if they're not, it's ironic.
Yeah, exactly. It's
high level of creativity in the nickname.
Yeah. I mean, well, they gave their nickname, and
What colour are the Grammar?
They're a navy blue and white. A lovely
bleeding blue and white.
Bleeding
like the
blue.
Leinster Schools Cup.
Yeah. Some of the greatest horseplay of all time, I heard, was at that final, which I wasn't at because I was abroad, but I was listening on local radio, and it sounded incredible. But a Schools Cup just reminds you that it's not all. Connacht is much more than just a team in the sports ground. We have a rich rugby culture throughout the province.
Very good, and we're helping to illuminate it today. I mean, I'd say the vast majority of people watching have never heard of these schools, and so your work here is nearly done, Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two quick more bits. We're going to one bad, one good.
Andy Friend stepping away is a big one for me, in terms of a low light. He arrived in 2018 after the disastrous tenure of Kieran Keane. Wasn't good, wasn't fun. Under his tenure, Connacht have reached both the playoff stages of the URC, qualified for the Champions Cup. We got to the knockout stages, and the round of 16 first leg against Leinster at the Sportsground was a class game. It really was. It was really touch and go. The second leg, not so much, but it just shows that Friend really got Connacht when he came in. He kind of carried on the project that Pat Lam had started. He's got a calmed, assured presence as a head coach and subsequently director of rugby. He's like the Dick Winters from Band of Brothers role, where it's just a real steady hand.
Great comparison.
Collected, calm, inspires those around him. Never really gets too shook up by what's going on in front of him. Just stays focused, even when things are crumbling around him. He carried on that irresistible all-action brand of attacking rugby that was first pioneered by Pat Lam, and he's been a great mentor to players like Jack Carty. I remember being at the RDS in 2018 when we played Leinster, and Carty was phenomenal that game, and we ended up losing by 2 points, I think, and in the press room afterwards you could just see how disappointed Jack was, but Friend was like, not necessarily a shoulder to cry on, but a good support. You could tell that it was all going to, this was the start of something. This was not a huge disappointment.
I'd like to see less of these managers heralding the exit. I know it's nice to have a long goodbye, but like we saw with Van Graan as well and Andy Friend, it has to impact on a player when they know that the head coach is stepping down at the end of the season. I get the point. Okay, we'll give them a bit of time here. People.
We're fairly sure that we know that the next head coach is in the building already, and that there's a seamless transition of power here.
Yeah, it's fair. I suppose he wants his.
This is a different scenario, I think. It's also not a crisis.
Yeah, it's true.
And he's not leaving because he hasn't agreed to stay, and then changed his mind when money bags in England have come offering money, whereas this is like absolute legend who has like taken people, built this band of brothers, and
continue the easy company
and anointed a successor. I think this is one of those scenarios where it's good that you have somebody sticking around and long.
If anyone deserves a goodbye, it's Andy Friend, to be fair.
He clearly has a deep love for the province itself geographically. Like, he's talked many times about how much he's really gotten to love Galway over his time there, and like his social media is awash with images of beautiful Atlantic Ocean views. So yeah, it is sad to see him go. It's really, really sad because he's clearly someone we love, and like I feel like that love is reciprocated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his future is or how involved he's going to get. Like, he clearly still has a giant rugby brain, but the other, if you could do worse than help him stay and somehow associated with like scouting players in that part of the world who have Irish connections.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's been some conversations around it, but okay. And then the final highlight,
having 5 Connacht players on that New Zealand summer tour was quite a big one. So we Dave Heffernan and Cian Prendergast, who were involved in the Maori games, and then Finlay Beelum, Bundy Aki and Mac Hansen on the proper test team. Like, that's huge for Connacht. There was a time, like when I started following them and really started getting into rugby, there was a time where Connacht players weren't getting within like 10 miles of an Ireland team. It just wasn't happening. And we were kind of toiling away on our own, getting the odd victory in a Challenge Cup. The odd player who, he could maybe go over to Leinster and maybe make the Ireland team. That was the high watermark for us, and that was what we aspired to. So through a mixture of incredible scouting and a brilliant academy structure, we've started to bring on these players who are making a name for themselves on the Irish stage. And without us winning a huge unexpected level of silverware like we did in 2016, and then we had a few token Connacht players thrown into an Ireland squad because, they earned it, didn't they? Good on them. Yeah. Like, we have these guys going in on merit and really making an impact.
They're not patronising inclusions, they're actual legitimate earned inclusions.
They're becoming like crucial to the success of an Ireland team, which is so inspiring, like from my perspective, and I know from the province as a whole. It's just brilliant to watch.
This time next year, when we next speak about Connacht on the show, what will you hope to have? What will you look back on as the highlights?
We'll be looking back on
2023 Challenge Cup win.
2023 Challenge Cup win. Mac Hansen and whether he'll be able to keep up the form after the winning drop goal in the World Cup final. That'll be interesting. We'll be talking about that and whether, the...
So wild of him to try it from the 70-metre line as well.
Yeah, absolutely, And, like, it's got whip and dip, I feel, that drop goal. I'm hoping we get the Challenge Cup this year, to be honest. I know we have it within us, and it'd be a great parting gift to friend.
It's in Dublin as well.
It's in Dublin as well.
Yeah.
Which we're not, if we could get that move to Galway, that'd be great. But... we'll take Dublin. But I'd like a bit of silverware in his final year, and I'd like the Connacht players who are in the Ireland squad to really make waves at the World Cup.
Okay, and over the Christmas break, I think Ulster is this Friday?
Yes.
Friday, and then Connacht on New Year's Day, and then the Sharks, and then Brive. So it's like a tricky 4 to 6 next fixtures, actually.
I know Ulster will be hurting, but I think we can take them at the Sportsground. We've a couple of wins on the bounce now between the Challenge Cup and the URC. Ulster just kind of look like a mess, and in post-show meetings I've made my feelings known about how I feel about this Ulster team, so I think we can do that. The other games might be a bit beyond us, but if we can win, if we can keep the Sportsground as the fortress that it is, I think I'll be happy enough.
Daddy Mac says Sportsground Stadium, very loose use of the word, more like a field meadow or paddock. Connacht do need a stadium upgrade, says Greg Lumley. They're getting it though. The College Road and Boher Moor Terrace ends are a nightmare on a wet and windy night. And there you go.
Sportsground paddock doesn't have the same...
The Sportsground paddock.
Draw or lure to it, does it?
In fairness, like it was of its time. They're fixing it, and they fixed the pitch first, so it's always going to be great for them.
Yeah, it's like an AIL ground, but a little bit more, which is kind of the vibe we go for.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Shifty Lad says, I swear lads, Auckram is so cold, no shelter apart from a stand that's got a draft in it, it would skin you. It's relatively high, I think. Am I right in this?
Elevation wise, yeah.
Feels like it's quite high when you're going up the hill into Rathnew, and then you keep going across to Auckram. I don't know.
And there's some exposed, like even I'm thinking of GA pitches up in Donegal, Kilcar being one of them, right on the Wild Atlantic Way there. You can see the ocean coming in. They've got to be extremely cold on a certain given day.
Coastal temperatures, a bit higher. Sometimes.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, there have to be some cold spots. We've named a few of them for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, good stuff. 24 minutes past 8 this morning. OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. On balance, though, you seem relatively hopeful about where Connacht are going.
Absolutely. There was a fear at the start of even this year. I was like, oh no, are we going back? Are we regressing a little bit? And now Friend is leaving too. This feels like we might fade a little bit into obscurity. I'm actually reading Warren Gatlin's book at the moment, and where they came from, like, because that's sort of the start of the modern Connacht, and he is such an integral part of their journey. And him talking about the community is the important part of Connacht. And there was a time during Kieran Keane's tenure that I thought, this is all going to go away again. It's going to be Galway centric, and the rest of the province is going to be forgotten. But Friend has done so much to bolster that again, and I just hope that the provincial board and the higher ups see the potential there and see the importance of fostering that community.
I think they do. There's no alternative for them, really, and like the best thing for them is for Connacht to become powerful and strong and good and keep producing 3 to 5 players for the national team. That'd be amazing. Justin Flynn says, well done, Cameron. Pity the lads were slightly condescending at times, only slightly.
So do you know what, Justin? It's what we expect. Like, condescension is the air we breed, unfortunately.
I'm even
we just have to power through.
Connacht green this morning.
But
it's a Man and Harps jersey.
It's a Man and Harps. No.
James Gibbons says, give Cameron a job full time. You can have Colm's job when Colm joins the evening show, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, he's on his way out, isn't he? I heard.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The contracts are on the table.
Right. We are going to take are we taking a quick break? No, we're going straight to this. It is 26 minutes past 8. It's time for Around the World with Shane Hannon.
Everyone's favourite time of the week?
Everyone's favourite time?
Yeah, well, my favourite time of the week. Around the world, where we visit some exotic locations on this globe of ours, and maybe visit some of the sporting stories we may have missed from around the world across the last 7 days or so. I'm fairly loose with the links, quite tenuous they can be at times, but it's our quirky sporting segment that we love to do once a week on OTB AM. I'm going to start this week, Ger, in the United States of America. Bit of baseball for you, sport we don't get to touch on too often on the show, but Aaron Judge, he's a baseball player. His record-breaking 60-second home run ball has been sold at auction. It got me thinking about sporting memorabilia and items and how much they're worth and what price we put on them. Like we were talking on the show the other morning about Kylian Mbappe's hat-trick ball. I assume he picked up the ball for his hat-trick.
Yeah.
He surely did.
It's obviously like 15 different balls used during the game. So.
Yeah, but I guess it's a World Cup final ball. Hopefully someone had the sense to get him the ball and get the French team to sign it for him. But this record-setting home run ball sold for $1.5 million. The prized memorabilia offered by Golden Auctions. The bidding closed on Saturday night. So a guy called Corey Humans, now he's a very well-to-do man himself, who happened to catch the ball in the left field seats at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, a number of months ago. He turned down a private offer of $3 million because he said, I want to give people a fair chance at buying it. So put it up for auction. Ends up only making $1.5 million. But as I said, this guy's quite rich anyway. He just happened to catch the ball, so you can't feel too sorry for him. So he set this American League record of 62 home runs on October 4th in Texas. So this surpassed Roger Maris's 61-year-old mark of 61 back in 1961. Look, it's one of those things. There's a YouTube channel even my brother watches. Zach Hempel is the guy's name, where he goes around different baseball grounds in America just trying to catch baseballs and positioning himself in certain parts of the ground where he can make that possible. And the collection of balls, the thousands of balls he has, some of which are quite famous, like when you catch a home run ball or a record-setting home run ball like this, clearly then that ball can be sold at auction for a pretty penny. So it's a job essentially. Going down to these baseball grounds and trying to catch the ball. Sometimes he gives them off to young kids who maybe when he gets an extra. The number 62, the 62 home runs that Aaron Judge achieved back in October, it's not actually a record. Major League Baseball players have on occasion hit more homers in a season. We've got Sammy Sosa with 66, Mark McGuire with 70, and Barry Bonds with 73. Now the asterisk that is placed over those three is that they were linked to allegedly using performance-enhancing drugs. Barry Bonds, the home run king, as he was dubbed, convicted back in 2011, I think it was, of obstruction of justice for lying to a grand jury about using steroids and human growth hormone. So that's why the 62 home runs of Aaron Judge is actually an historic number.
A little bit of so Aaron Judge obviously signed a fat contract, like is it 350 million for 10 years with the Yankees, but he was supposed to sign with San Francisco Giants. He was always like, San Francisco was my favourite team when I was a kid, I always wanted to sign for them. And then all of a sudden the Yankees came in with this is your offer.
Money, yeah.
Overnight the San Francisco Giants had Carlos Correa, who was going to be his replacement in, and like, don't worry everybody, calm down. Okay, so we didn't get Aaron Judge, we're going to get Carlos Correa, and then Carlos Correa just signed for somebody else overnight as well. So the San Francisco Giant fans not so happy this morning. That's twice they've been jilted, but
the fickle nature of sport. It's one of those things. Baseball fans often get let down by big money, and the money in baseball is quite insane, which is why this story caught my eye. Now that Mark Maguire I mentioned, his 70th home run ball from 1998 was sold for $3.05 million back in 98 to Todd McFarlane, the amazing Spider-Man comic book artist and writer. He's the one who bought it. That was the most expensive ball ever, and record still stands. So yeah, $1.5 million. Got me thinking, what do you have out there in your closet? What do you have that's sitting at home that could be worth a pretty penny? I'm someone that like to collect autographs and little bits of memorabilia. I have a bit of dirt from Fenway Park in a little bag. They were doing up the pitch and some of the red dirt.
Have you ever tried to get a valuation on any of this stuff?
No, I do. I have a Muhammad Ali signed glove that his manager gave me in Vegas over the summer that I would imagine is probably one of the more expensive items.
Is it?
You see, some of them are up on eBay for certain prices, but because of the provenance, which is the proof you have that it's authentic. I mean, being given to me by his manager is my provenance and proof. So I don't know what the price of an Ali signed glove is, but it's something that's only going to go up in value, I'd imagine, over the years. Definitely people at home have and people watching this morning have things worth
€145 on eBay at the moment for a signed glove.
See, a lot of those are like, show me the certificate of authenticity, show me the things that prove that that's Ali's signature, and it's not just a copy or someone sitting in their basement practicing his signature over and over.
Yeah,
I've got the proof, Ger. So that's look, money can't buy happiness either, and it's sitting at home. And
1,500 is another one. Maybe is that getting closer?
That's
to
getting closer.
I'm interested now.
That's getting closer. Yeah. I still wouldn't part with it. But that's story number one, Ger. Do you have anything at home?
Cassius Clay signed Everlast glove.
Yeah, the old signature.
€1,426.
See, it's the same with Buzz Aldrin. So Buzz Aldrin,
he changed his name as well.
Well, yeah, his real name is Edwin Aldrin. Edwin Eugene Aldrin. And when he was younger, when he was a kid, I think his little sister couldn't pronounce the word brother. She used to call him Buzzer, and that was shortened then to Buzz.
Right.
And he became Buzz, of course, which is a great astronaut name. Makes sense, and hence Buzz Lightyear became who he was in Toy Story. But he often signed, he of course still signs as Buzz Aldrin, but if you can find an old signature of Edwin Aldrin,
it's worth way more.
It's worth more, and it's certainly signed in the 60s, 70s, that kind of era.
So tell us your stories of sports tat this morning, and we'll try and put a value on your sports tat.
Indeed. We're next headed in around the world this morning, on this Wednesday morning, to Dubai. Scott McTominay is getting himself in a little bit of bother. There's a photograph on screen of him holding a rope in a tug of war scenario. Now, at the other end of that rope was a full-blown tiger at an exotic zoo. So, taking some advantage, Scott, of his time off before the return of Premier League action, he head to Dubai with his girlfriend. Fair enough. Paid a visit to this private fame park, it's called, to get up close and personal with a number of exotic animals. Some snaps shared by McTominay on his social media account raised a few eyebrows. Fairly innocent in some quarters. Some people didn't seem to care or notice. He's petting monkeys. He's got a snake around his neck. But after posting this footage and photos from the trip, some animal charities and football fans as well were lining up to express their disappointment with the Scotland international midfielder. Catherine Wise of World Animal Protection saying it's disappointing. These incredible animals are not commodities to gain likes on social media. Captive wild animals face a lifetime of suffering just for the enjoyment of tourists. Wild animals are not ours to exploit, they belong in the wild. Another from the Four Paws charity said it's so upsetting to see someone who so many people look up to acting in this way. And Humane Society International saying facilities excuse their human versus beast experiences like tug of war as helpful for welfare by mimicking natural behaviours, but does have a strange vibe to it. And I looked up this Fame Park's website and the guy in Dubai who runs it, and the entire social media, massive following on social media, but they're all like footballers and celebrities, and it's like he just brings in people with a large social media following to get the photos, take the picture, post it on their social media, and increase awareness of this park in Dubai. So perhaps inadvertently, Scott McTominay's landed himself in a little bit of bother.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
James Cruz has a Brazil jersey signed by Jarzinho and DJ Carey.
Oh, right. Sorry, by Jarzinho and DJ Carey.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a unique piece, a one-of-a-kind piece. I used to... that's a very good one.
Matty Cash has Messi and Mbappe from this World Cup.
Right.
Put them together.
Yeah, the jerseys.
Put them together in the same thing. Get them signed.
Yeah. Is there anyone you would... obviously, we're professional in this broadcasting game, but is there anyone you would actually ask for an autograph or selfie?
No.
No?
Oh, for a selfie?
Well, either one, yeah.
Well,
so you dismissed autograph there as if, nah.
Well, not sports related. You can't do it in sport.
True, yeah. For professionalism reasons.
Yeah.
So who would you do it outside of sport?
I'll give me two names. Stevie Van Zandt was upstairs. I got one with him.
Right, yeah.
Big Sopranos fan.
Fair, yeah.
And I'm just completely blanking on his name.
I'm a big Breaking Bad fan, so I did get Bryan Cranston at once, selfie with him.
Where was that?
That was over in London at a book signing. He was signing autographs, and we bonded over the fact that he has ancestry in County Armagh, and I was like, I'm pretty close to County Armagh.
You bonded.
I was born in County Armagh, in fact. So we
here's my shtick, stay away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
no personal space.
Yeah. Friends with Heisenberg. I'm going to stick that on my LinkedIn. There's certain people I regret it. I remember Roger Moore was in the office one day before he passed away, and I didn't get a photo with him, and I regretted that. I did regret it. I was like,
was that little Bono lookalike in
yeah.
Ago?
It fooled a lot of people, I think, in the office.
We still haven't collected our winnings on that not being him. Anyway,
yeah.
Go on next.
Yeah, so we'll move on to back to America. In fact, the USA. Camille Herron is not a name that most of you will be familiar with. That's her in the image on screen if you're watching us. She put her heart and soul into breaking the 100-mile world record, but officials now say the course was too short. Can you imagine this? So she crossed the finish line at the Jackpot Ultra Running Festival's 100-mile race in Henderson, Nevada. This was back in February. And she did so as the outright winner. She beat all the male competitors as well. World record time. So a staggering average pace for 100 miles. Consider this, of 7 minutes and 37 seconds per mile. So her time of 12 hours, 41 minutes and 11 seconds, almost a minute and a half faster than the record she had previously set back in 2017. But as far as the record books were concerned, her efforts appeared to be in vain. In October, they remeasured the course, which looped around Henderson's Cornerstone Park, and then officials from USA Track and Field deemed it was short by 716 feet, which is 218 metres. You imagine running 100 miles and being told months later after your world record has been set, you were 716 feet short. Now she has, and the reason I'm talking about it now is because she has only recently come out criticising these inaccuracies as wrong. She said, I definitely wanted to count as a record because I put my heart and soul into it. Such an historical moment for the sport. She remains adamant that she ran at least 100 miles that day. That view is shared, of course, by her husband and coach, Conor Holt. Holt said it was a public park on the day. She was having to weave around people. So, people out walking their dogs. There was baby strollers. The park was full. It wasn't a set course on the day. So 716 feet, or 218 metres, they argue, was easily made up in the weaving around people and things and items.
Come on.
Which I think is fair. And then the race director...
It's not like a little chip that she could have been wearing that would have done exactly this.
Well, that would have solved everything, you'd imagine.
Get the Stat Sports crew on it and they'd be like, oh no, it's 101 miles. What are you talking about?
They just use the course, which doesn't seem too accurate or too technical. But the co-race director said the course was remeasured by a course measurement official on February 27th, certified as 100.00396 miles, which was accurate. 8 months later, then the course was remeasured once more and yielded this distance shy of 100 miles. But of course, she believes now that the record from back in February and the course measurement from February should stand. So, look, I feel for anyone who's run a marathon or even run 5k to be told that it was feet short. It would ruin your happiness. But to run 100 miles and then to be told, nah, sorry, your record doesn't stand.
Martin Sheen was in the office. He was another one that I.
Oh, yeah. Apocalypse Now.
That's really it.
Yeah, there's a couple that I would definitely, I would get the selfies with. Autographs and...
Followed Quentin Tarantino into the cinema one time.
Did you?
Did, yeah.
Bit creepy.
Bit creepy, but well, we were just... There was a few of us, so it was fine.
You didn't get a photo, no?
He doesn't do photos.
Quentin doesn't?
No.
Did you say hello to him or get the chance?
We were watching other people ask for photos, and he was like, "Oh, I don't really do that, but I'll take your hand." And we were like, "That's creepy."
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, when it's that organised, it's not great. I remember that someone got the Mayo jersey in, was it Knock Airport, signed by Pope Francis? Like that's, you're talking about the Jairzinho and DJ Carey thing. That's a unique one-of-one item. Someone out there has a Mayo jersey signed by the Pope.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
not a huge... Maybe there is a big market for that. Maybe that's a huge...
Oh, Pope signatures online are
they big?
That's big, yeah.
Oh,
that's a big
right.
big thing. And US presidents is another massive one. Barack Obama's signature is fairly financially lucrative if you can get it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Who's buying this crap?
I mean, the first African American president, that's going to be worth something in 50, 100 years.
Just sign something, like... What?
I know, but if someone handed you a piece of paper right now signed by... like you can go to the National Museum and see certain items signed by, Easter Rising leaders, or the treaty signed by Collins.
That is like an actual historical document as opposed to a scrap of paper. The bit where he signed Obamacare into law, right? That document, or the Good Friday Agreement signed. A friend of mine has a copy of the Good Friday Agreement signed by everybody who was involved in it, and I think that's an important historical document.
Like an original signature?
I can see that, yeah.
Whoa.
But I got your autograph, sir, in my autograph book. I'm sorry, this is your entire youth I'm pissing on here. I don't mean to.
No, but I see
I don't see for you, it's important, right?
I see your point. Well, I have photographs of astronauts on the moon signed by them, so that's a document, I guess. It's not a document, it's a photo of them in context.
Yeah.
But then again, like, if you have a piece of paper signed by Joseph Plunkett or James Connolly, just a piece of paper, I mean, it's still an historical document years later, 100 years later.
Okay.
We'll agree to disagree. Autographs. If you're collecting autographs out there, listen to me. Hold on to them. Don't listen to Ger. And the final place we're going with around the world on this morning's segment is to Portugal. That guy in that photograph, his name is Matt Formston. The thing about him is he's blind. Look at the size of the waves behind him. So this is he's an Australian surfer. This is in Portugal, one of the Holy Grails, Nazaré in Portugal, where people go for some of the hugest waves in the world. Now imagine doing that with full eyesight, and then imagine trying to do it blind. He's one of the best disabled surfers in the world, 44 years of age, Matt Formston, this Aussie. He's always dreamed of being a professional surfer. He's got macular dystrophy in his eyes. So he says he grew up with full vision, and then when he was about 5 years old, lost 95% of his peripheral vision, which is the outsides of your vision, of course, and all of his central vision. So he says, if you put your fist in front of your eyes, which blocks out all of your central vision, I can only see the outsides. But of that, if you blurred it out, make it blurry, it's all blurry, like rubbing your windscreen with sandpaper, as he describes it. So this was in November at the age of 44. He added Surf's Holy Grail in Portugal, waves up to 12 metres tall to his collection. As he puts it, most sighted surfers don't really want anything to do with the waves in Nazaré in Portugal. He doesn't consider himself exceptional. He says when conditions are really good, many surfers stay out well after the sun goes down. So they surf like me in the dark. I just do it every day. I think he's downplaying his achievements there. He trained extensively for this as well, worked on his breathing, ultimately able to hold his breath for up to 5 minutes, which is quite extraordinary. Jet skis towing him out to the spot where the waves break. A really, really incredible human being. And his next dream is to see parasurfing making its Paralympic debut in 2028 in Los Angeles. So that's his hope. He is someone who has already been at the Paralympic Games. He was a cycling Paralympian in the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So really impressive person, and I thought deserved a mention because when you look at those waves and the photo of him on the water, and you consider the fact that he has very little eyesight, it's quite extraordinary.
Those waves are absolutely amazing. Right, that's this week's episode of Around the World with Shane Hannon. Okay, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Cathal Mullaney is with us. Cathal, good morning to you. How are you?
How are you doing, lads? How's it going?
Stephen Donlan says, I randomly found a signed book with a signature cert by Gianfranco Zola in an antique shop in Athlone. Not worth much at all, but means a lot to me being a Chelsea fan. What, do you have any sporting memorabilia?
Not a whole lot, actually. Actually, that you mentioned a signed book, I bought Clive Tilsley's book last week and I got it and it was signed.
Ah, lovely.
Delivered to me, yeah. So,
did you know it was signed when you bought it?
No.
Ah.
No.
Is that an increased or decreased value of the book?
Increased for sure.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it,
yeah. Increased
Not sure.
value.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, signed by the author.
Yeah,
100%.
I suppose, yeah. Memorabilia. I was at a few Irish Opens, and like you get an Irish Open hat and you'll go around and get it signed by the golfers. I was at actually at 07 and 09. Harrington won in 07 and Lowry won in 09. So at the golf tournaments, the players, like, they'd walk off the 18th green or whatever, and there'd be a little bit of I remember at Baltray anyway, where the people just line the sides as they walk from the 18th green to the scorer's hut or whatever to sign their cards. And the smart players will take a cap at the start of the walk, and they'll walk with the cap. So you have to chase after them to get it back.
Yeah.
That means they don't have to stop and sign everyone. So they'll walk and sign.
Oh.
Lee Westwood did that.
Just signed one autograph.
Yeah, so my brother was there with me, and Lee Westwood only picked 1 or 2 caps, but he picked my brother's cap, and he had to run after him to get it back off him at the end of the thing. Yeah, so there's the experience.
That's not nice. I think sports people generally in the public eye, if someone wants an autograph.
Did you get Larry's from 09?
I didn't. He was out in the course at the time.
Tiger's signature is worth a nice little bit of money as well.
Is it?
Depending on the item. Like, again, it's all context. A scrap of paper mightn't be the same, but if you have a Tiger Woods signed golf ball, and it's tough to sign across the dimples, but it's not like signing a baseball or a basketball. But I would say that's worth a few quid, or a flag from one of the majors, like an Augusta flag.
I have a flag from the Irish Open in 07 when Harrington won. I got his autograph that time. I was chuffed with that.
Did you just nick it?
No. I knew someone that got it. That was given.
So they nicked it, and you were like, in receipt of stolen goods.
So I have it in a drawer at home. That's what I have.
Signed by Harrington.
Yeah, and then
that's the type of stuff that many publicans around the country would purchase from you.
Yeah.
And when you get your own pub, you can put on the wall, obviously, because that's what it's all about.
I keep newspapers from different events as well.
I do the same, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Do you keep, like, you do a lot of GA matches, keep programs, and
I've loads of programs. Yeah.
You're a hoarder like me.
The Christmas tree that my folks have was wrapped in paper, and it's a one of the artificial trees from 7 years ago, so 2015, and it was a January newspaper. Obviously, they were wrapping it back up, and the headline is, "Who will replace Johnny Sexton?"
Oh my word!
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, that's mad.
That could have been picked up out of the.
That is mad.
From today.
Yeah.
But we're not even talking about that anymore. Like, it's a relevant conversation.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I've got a snooker cue on my room, on my bedroom wall at home in Monaghan, and it's hung up by a couple of pegs and signed by Ronnie O'Sullivan, Jimmy White, and John Virgo.
Very nice.
It's lovely.
Exhibition. So
yeah,
it's like, there's no point having the cue. I have a cue that I play with as well, play badly with, but that cue is just untouched.
Did either of you ever, like, pick grass off the pitches or the stadiums that you've been at?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Wasn't Graham Hunter telling us the story about, was it Piqué?
Yeah.
Cutting the nets?
Yeah, which is obviously a thing, because the Argentine, they did that whole thing.
Yeah.
See why they want it. These things, just, it means a lot to people. You know, when I was a kid and used to be at the old Lansdowne Road and getting autographs off some of the Irish teams before they went in the bus, like, certain players were very nice. Like, Kevin Caban was always very pleasant, would stop for people and sign as many autographs as you wanted. So you never forget that sort of stuff.
No, you don't.
I said it to Kevin. We ended up working together. You were very nice.
Yeah, well, we saw the picture.
Yeah.
There you go, Shane. Nice one.
What else going on, Carl?
A few different bits and pieces. Carabao Cup tonight, Manchester United in action. They play Burnley, Brighton and Charlton. Blackburn against Nottingham Forest, the other matches tonight. Newcastle won last night. They beat Bournemouth 1-0. Southampton 2-1 winners over Lincoln City. Gavin Bazuni scoring an own goal there for Southampton, but they still won by 2-1. Leicester beat MK Dons 3-0 and Wolves overcame Gillingham by 2-0. Drama in the Scottish Premiership, where Rangers scored twice deep into added time to beat Jim Goodwin's Aberdeen by 3-2. Leader Celtic will restore their 9-point advantage if they beat Livingston this evening. Here at home, some movement on the transfer front. Shelbourne have confirmed that Abby Larkin will leave the club. Shamrock Rovers believed to be her likely destination, and Pat Fenlon poised for a return to Bohemians as director of football. In Gaelic Games, the Galway hurling manager Henry Shefflin will have to plan without Johnny Cohn for the new season. He's retired from the inter-county game at the age of 31, an All-Ireland winner in 2017. Plenty of Irish involvement on day 6 of the PDC World Darts Championship today. John John O'Shea in action against Darius Labanauskas this afternoon, and Antrim's Josh Rock also on stage this afternoon against Callan Rids. Then this evening, Lee O'Connor goes up against Germany's Gabriel Clemens in the evening session alongside Michael Van Gerwen, who plays the Welsh qualifier Louis Williams. And there's an 8-race card at Ferryhouse today, first off there at 25 to midday, and at Dundalk, the first off there at 4:15.
Is there a Sligo Christmas tradition, a dip, a run, a gold mile, round the golf?
Is there? Not really. There's like a horse hunt, they used to call it. It's not a hunt anymore, but like all these horses and people with horses tend to gather in like my home village, and they go for a trot down by the sea, about 3 or 4 miles. So we go out and watch that on St. Stephen's Day. That's probably the only tradition.
Do you take it for granted living in a coastal county?
100%, yeah.
See, I think that'll be great. Monaghan's landlocked.
Yeah, like
what's the only doubly landlocked county in Ireland? There's one, isn't there? Is it Offaly or Laois?
I can't remember.
One of them is the only doubly landlocked where none of the counties it touches.
When you think that, it's kind of made up, because even if you do touch a county that touches the sea, like, what's the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
You can still drive. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's one of those things we learn in school.
That's a pub quiz fact.
It is. That is it. It's like.
That is it, yeah.
Bobby Dwyer says, I've got a pair of shoes worn and signed by Ian Poulter, who's now blocked me on Twitter for questioning him going to Live Tour and taking the Saudi money.
Life comes at you fast, Bob.
There you go.
They're going to be able to play in the Masters.
Yep. Oh, it's actually worked out very well for the majors, hasn't it? Because it's the only time we're going to see the top players all together. And there's going to be such anticipation, and if there's more tension between the players between now and then as well, it's only going to add to it. So yeah, no surprise there, really. No surprise.
One last thing, Abby Larkin, Shell's star, is actually not re-upping with Shell. She's joining Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, it's big news, and considering all the players that Shamrock Rovers have signed, the calibre of the players that they've signed, they've really made a strong start. And people are talking whether can you go from like not having a team to winning the league in the first season. I'm not sure, but given the calibre of the squad with Anya Gorman and Stephanie Roach and now Abby Larkin, who's one of the brightest prospects we have in the country, the fact that she's heading there as well, it looks like now, is a big boost. Big boost
for Rovers. And obviously then if she does sign for an English club after that, Rovers will end up getting the lion's share of the money because of the contractual situation, or at least that's the way it appears to me at the moment. I could be wrong about that, but it certainly seems that is the way, unless there's some developmental money as well. One last thing that we should just briefly touch on here: the league crowds at the SSC Electricity Games have increased by more than 200,000, and you're like, is that good? Is that bad? Is that a huge amount? This is measuring like on like from 2019, but it's a 29% increase. So this growing sense that we have that the league is getting better, that it's a more viable product, that more people are interested in it, that more people are actively participating in support of teams, that's a real thing.
Oh, absolutely. And the interesting thing about that crowd increase is it's virtually across the board. I think there was a handful of clubs that went down, but I think Galway United trebled the fans that were at their games. Cork City, who were in the first division, had one of the highest average attendances, and they're back in the Premier next season. There is definitely something happening with the game in Ireland at the moment, and I think there's a lot of good work going on with the three leagues, the Women's Premier and then the Men's First Division and the Premier Division as well. And you have the prospect next season of the new stand at Tallaght Stadium being finished. That'll bring the capacity up, and we could have record crowds at one-off fixtures. You could consider Shamrock Rovers against Bowes, for example, you would think might sell out. You could have 10,000 at that sort of a game at Tallaght Stadium. So onwards and upwards. And if we can, the Brexit thing and keeping players here, the younger players here as well, longer, also adds to it. So definitely there's a huge sense of momentum around the league at the minute.
All right, good stuff, Carl. Thanks very much for that. It's 8:53. If you want to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. And you can also get us on youtube.com/off the ball. If you want to leave a comment there, we will get to those in just a moment or two. But very briefly, some of your back page headlines. Rashford signs new contract. This is the extra year that they've triggered. De Gea talks continue. Do you want De Gea to stay or go?
For less money, I think there's talk that he'll take a contract cut, and I think he's quite open to taking a pay cut. And if stay,
no.
Wrong answer. Jan Sommer is the name that's been linked.
He's not the right keeper for what Ten Hag is trying to do. Good keeper. If he's your sub keeper and you're paying him sub keeper money, you'd be like, well, that's not bad. I'm happy with that. But
he wouldn't allow himself to be a sub keeper.
No, exactly. So just let him go. It's like he's got paid a lot of money. He was good for a while, and now he's no longer what you need. And that's fine.
He's on 430,000 a week or something.
It's ridiculous.
Something insane.
We want the Lions. Now Qatar sets sights on a major move into rugby. Qatar have held talks about staging a British and Irish Lions test in 2025 as part of a major move into rugby. They want 7 games as well. This is Matt Hughes exclusive in the Daily Mail this morning. Mark O'Shea says Clifford is even better than Gooch and Fitz.
Well, when I asked David Moran on the show, remember recently, he wouldn't go down that path. But fair play to Mark O'Shea, putting his neck on the line down in the kingdom.
Formula 1 stars must ask to protest. Formula 1 drivers will be banned from making political or religious statements without prior approval next season under new rules. Be interesting to see how much approval they get, but
farcical.
We'll see.
Yeah, the whole thing's farcical. Like, people had a bit of sympathy for F1 when they started banning jewellery and stuff. They said, okay, well, there's a safety element to this. If there's a fire started, and it will obviously naturally rotate and move towards the heat, which would be the watch and the wrist of the jewellery. But that clearly was just a starting point for them to...
Well, we'll see what happens, because it says Formula 1 sellers insist that it will not prevent drivers from making statements or gestures promoting equality or environmental issues. For example, Lewis Hamilton wearing a rainbow-coloured helmet at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He'll be free to do so again, but the drivers may have to seek permission first. One of the things that didn't happen, no footballer put their neck on the line. I hope that from the end of the group stages to the end of the tournament, somebody somewhere would say something and do something, and it didn't happen. And I'm wearing my Colin Kaepernick Christmas jumper this morning. Like, Colin Kaepernick literally gave up his career. Gave up his career to protest. And it's possible that those footballers could have made some kind of protest, some kind of signs, anything, anywhere along the way, and no one did. And, football,
I kind of expect
it's going to be a stain on them all forever.
Yeah. And the FIA saying they have to ask permission to protest, kind of takes away from the whole idea of protesting in the first place. Not asking for permission is half the battle. So yeah, in terms of the World Cup and Formula 1 drivers, it's a bit of a concerning time. I'd like to see some more drivers, and footballers especially, stand up.
Kevin De Bruyne is back. He's Blue Santa. He's back in Manchester. Their Secret Santa says the champions have already got the perfect Christmas gift as they prepare to return to action tomorrow. Jude Bellingham, Real Madrid bullish. They will lure the team to Spain. Interesting use of language anyway. Real Madrid believe they have won the race to sign Jude Bellingham in £100 million plus deal. So it is pounds that they're using on the back of the sun. They've become very confident that he's going to snub a move to the Premier League and make the big switch to Spain next summer. So nothing's going to happen in this transfer window. You buying that?
I think any young English player, like he's avoided the spotlight and the glare of the English media and the British media over in Germany, and moving to Real Madrid puts him, of course, more on a pedestal. But week in, week out, if you're playing fixtures in La Liga as opposed to the Premier League, it takes that pressure off your shoulders a little bit. Now, I'm not saying playing for Real Madrid is a pressure-free situation for a 19-year-old, but I think if you can avoid the glare of the English media while you're a young footballer for as long as possible, that can only be a good thing. So I think Real Madrid is a perfect move for him.
It's a fair point, actually, that
get away from the media.
The Goldfish Bowl, maybe if you're Jack Grealish, your next move should be to Germany or Italy, where...
Yeah. Imagine the pressure if Bellingham joins City or Liverpool.
But the only thing is, you won't be the only good player there.
No.
And not that he would be at any of the other clubs that he moves to, but and that pressure's going to come. So maybe you just learn to deal with it, and you've got good people around you, and it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it depends who he wants to play for. But if I was him, Real Madrid is a perfect scenario. So let him at it. A lot of clubs can afford him. And he'd be an excellent signing for whoever gets him. I don't know if his style of play, who it suits more, but I think Real Madrid is a brilliant option for him at this stage of his career.
Camavinga, Shumeni and him in midfield. It's a natural succession to Modric, Kroos and Casemiro.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Different.
I mean, yeah.
More high energy, more running, more intensity.
Sorry, he's only going to be 23 at the next World Cup.
Bellingham, yeah.
That's remarkable.
Right, it is 8:58. A reminder, OTB AM is brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish today. We've already been talking about not doing very much over Christmas, except maybe sitting on the couch and watching. What are you going to be watching? Sinead Kehoe is here with some recommendations for us. Sinead, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning. How are you doing?
You've watched the internet from cover to cover, apparently.
I have, yeah. Over the course of the last year, I've watched a lot of sports documentaries. But yeah, like you said, great time over Christmas when you're not going to be doing much, to get that opportunity just to sit back and enjoy. There's so many good documentaries on Netflix, especially. I think that there's the ones that we've all heard of, The Last Dance, and you have, of course, like the FIFA documentary that came out recently as well, but there's lots of other ones as well that maybe people mightn't have heard of that I would definitely recommend.
So obviously The Last Dance dropped when COVID dropped. I haven't gone back to it to watch it again, but was it as good as we all thought at the time? Is there any revisionism going on
I think it was maybe that it was just so star-studded, and it was the whole Michael Jordan appeal. But I actually don't think it's as good as some of the other documentaries that are on Netflix.
Okay, go on.
So, I don't know if you've seen any of the Untold documentaries. It's a docu-series. There's about 6 episodes altogether in that. But the Marty Fish documentary, it's unbelievable. So, it's about... takes a really close look at mental health struggles that professional athletes go through. I don't know, Shane or Ger, have
haven't seen it. No. Heard tell of it, all right.
Yeah, so Marty Fish, he's not a name that everyone would know, but because he was, I think for most of his career, he only would have ranked maybe in the top 20
Good man to
in
reach
the world.
The last 32 of a major tournament and be cannon fodder for the eventual winner or finalist.
Yeah, so, but like towards the end of his 20s then, he basically gave up every other aspect of his life just to dedicate himself totally to tennis. And then he became the US #1 in, I think it was around 2011, and he was ranked number 7 in the world. But when he reaches the pinnacle of his career, that's when everything kind of falls apart. Then he gets to a quarterfinal of the US Open, going to be playing Roger Federer, and he has to pull out. And I think it's just like a lot of the time you see a lot of players often have to withdraw from major sporting events because of physical injuries, and no one really bats an eyelid. But when it comes to withdrawing because of mental health issues, there's a bit more scrutiny there, I think. We saw it with Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, but like if you watch this documentary, and if that is your attitude, if you tend to have a bit of judgment around people withdrawing because of mental health, I definitely implore you to watch this, and I don't think you'll feel the same after watching it. So really, really highly recommend it.
So it's Untold, and it's the Marty Fish episode.
Marty Fish episode. Another one then that I would recommend as part of the Untold docu-series is the Caitlyn Jenner documentary. Again, I don't know if either of you have seen this. Caitlyn Jenner, in more recent times, we'd know her as part of being the whole Kardashian-Jenner phenomenon, but before any of that kicked off, Caitlyn Jenner, when she was competing as an athlete known as Bruce Jenner, was a decathlon athlete, winning Olympic gold medal winner, and it just goes through her career as an athlete, but all the pressure of being an athlete performing at the top level, but also in the background, simmer in the background, is all of the identity issues that they're going through throughout the course of their career as well. So definitely another one that I would highly recommend.
There's a number of episodes of that.
There are, There's I think there's actually 8 in total.
And just focuses on one athlete
at a time, yeah. And it kind of looks more so at the personality as opposed to the athlete. So
and
that's a really good one.
Are they all cooperating with the documentary? So Caitlyn Jenner's in her documentary and Marty Fish is in his, like, speaking to camera and...
They're all speaking to camera, so that's something that's nice about it as well. It's not told by a third party. They're all participating in it. And then moving on, then just I want to get them all in, but I do really want to recommend Bad Sport. Have I haven't seen it. Like, these are the best documentaries that are on Netflix, and like as I said there at the start, like about Last Dance, FIFA, but some of these go under the radar. So there's I'm just so interested in sports fiction. match fixing. So Bad Sport has 2 really good episodes. One called Hoop Schemes, and then another one then it's about Hansi Konja. He was a South African cricket player. So all about match fixing and point shaving. Really, really good. 2 really excellent episodes.
How long are they?
Within that, an hour.
Okay, and the Untold ones?
An hour as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
not too much of a commitment.
Not too much of a commitment. Yeah, definitely. I think we all have a good bit of time over the next couple of weeks to watch them. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
I want to talk definitely. This is one that I came across about 2 years ago, and it's amazing. Last Chance U. So this is about college athletes. So as you know, like over in America, college American football is huge. American basketball over in America is massive as well. So it is about college athletes who were in Division 1 colleges, and they were on a scholarship, but then for one reason or another they get kicked out of college. And a lot of time it's because of disciplinary issues, it's because they're not making their grades, it's because they're not getting on well with the coach, or something's happening maybe in the classroom or on campus in general. And so they get kicked out of Division 1 colleges. They have to then go to junior colleges, Division 2 colleges, and it's about them starting from scratch again. So trying to make their way back into Division 1 colleges again. And the reason why it's so important that they're in Division 1 colleges is because that's where they're scouted for the NBA and for the NFL. And that's how eventually they will go on to prosper in their career. And the reason this one is so fascinating as well is because these athletes are from really disadvantaged backgrounds mainly. And so if they can't make it in the likes of sport or in music, then they've very little prospects in life. So it's about mentorship. You have the coaches really mentoring them, trying to get them to kind of do better in life and things like that. And yeah, it's about, I suppose, just prevailing in really grim circumstances a lot of the time. So Last Chance U, definitely a good shout as well.
A lot of my mates talking about this one.
How many seasons? What season are we talking about here?
So there's 3 seasons where it's focusing on American football, and then there's 1 season. Actually, no, there's 2 seasons now in basketball as well.
Okay, so the most recent ones are basketball.
Most recent ones are basketball, which I prefer basketball. Like it makes more sense to me than American football. So yeah, I think I'd probably recommend the basketball seasons over the American football seasons.
It's just the whole season 1 of the American football, though. I don't know.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, there's just an incredible ending. There's an all-out brawl, which is like, what?
That's what we want.
And they have all the footage. If I'm thinking of the right thing, and the same coach comes back for the first and second season, and then
they move on to another college. Then
but like. Not that many of them ever make it. One of the characters ends up reappearing, coincidentally, of course, at the NFL team that is in that season's Hard Knocks. You're kind of like, I wonder, is there a little bit of, this guy...
publicity?
Just a little bit for Hard Knocks going, oh, we're going to follow this through. Because this was massive as well at the start of lockdown. So I haven't actually seen any of the basketball ones.
The basketball ones are really good as well. And the thing is, like... Another reason why it's interesting is because these lads have such high opinions of themselves. They've been on scholarships, they've
probably
been playing and they have to. But then they're back at square one, in these junior colleges, and a lot of the time they think, what am I doing here? I'm too good for this. And there's that struggle that's going on in the background too, which
a lot of ego and eggs in one basket. Like when they get the bad news, it's like, well, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah. And it is true, like a lot of the time, and then a lot of the time you see them even getting kicked out of the junior colleges and they've just no prospects whatsoever in life. So yeah, really, really interesting.
It is a much bigger commitment though. It's like eight episodes a season or something like that.
Yeah. And some of them would be like the episodes, I think they can go on for like an hour and a half each. So yeah, it's a much longer
it's just a little bit, it's a bit of a commitment, and if it's no good, you're like, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shouting and screaming as well in it, so like if you're on board for that, that's fine, but especially in the second season of Last Chance U, I think when they're in, where is it? East Mississippi, the coach there is pretty full on.
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah.
Even self-aware, having watched the first season. All right, Sinead, good stuff. So there are the recommendations. Sinead Kehoe, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks a million.
It's 10 minutes past 9. OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Tune into the lunchtime wrap today. You can subscribe to that. It brings you all the very latest sports news with thanks to Deliveroo. Check out the app for some great match day meal deals across the World Cup. Deliveroo, food, we get it. Here's what we got on OTB Sports Radio for you today at 10:30. The show is live. It's the Club Championship show. OTB Gold from 1 is Michael Owen talking about his life after football. Koi Gig today from 3 o'clock with some good celebrity gossip mixed in this week. Our retro panel is Tyrone GA's Golden Days. They are, of course, the team of the decade of the noughties. OTB Gold, Dennis Ogie Moran. You can follow Off the Ball across our social channels and subscribe to the OTB Podcast Network for all the best in latest sports content. Up next, former tennis pro Jenny Claffey joins us in studio to talk about her top tennis moments of the year. As I said during the ad break, a clip from Koi Gig with Kathleen McNamee, Karen Duggan and Emma Byrne talking about Emma's trip to Qatar to take part in the FIFA Legends game and attend the World Cup final. The Koi Gig pod on OTB Sports is in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
OTB Sports Rugby.
Do I think England are going to win the World Cup? They can, because they're still England. They can get it together. They've got a lot of players to pick from, but I think it was unlikely with Eddie, and it's probably still unlikely with Steve Borthwick or anyone else.
Subscribe to the rugby stream on the OTB Sports app now.
Emma, we need to know who was sound and who was a bit of a hole. Come on, give us the real dirt here. Come on.
Let's get down with the goss. Well, I'll tell you who definitely was not sound. The players that didn't show up.
Oh, did some not show up?
Oh, there were loads of no-shows. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know why, but all I know is that our team was seriously reduced, which means we had to play every minute of the game. And, you know, when you're playing with lads that basically haven't run like me in 5 or 7 years and don't really want to defend, like Stoichkov, don't ask him to defend. Like, just don't do it. As a goalkeeper, that was not fun. But yeah,
he didn't turn up.
Peter Schmeichel did not turn up, and I was kind of like really hoping he would. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them were very, very sound. A couple of them weren't very sound, as in they were like giving out stink to me when I lost the ball. And because of the language barriers, I felt I couldn't respond the way I wanted to. Yeah, but the cheek of them, I'd lose the ball. I only lost the ball a couple of times, and then they go mad at me, and I'm like, they can't even run. Like they were like literally walking around the pitch, not defending. I was like, the cheek of them. Anyway, most of them were fairly sound. It was good fun. Most of them took it seriously serious, like way too competitive. Like they were killing each other. Clarence Seedorf was absolutely destroyed after the first game, so he couldn't play anymore because they absolutely killed him. And it didn't matter if you were a girl or not. No, they were not holding back. They were like, and it was off the wall as well. Imagine 30 minutes of a small-sided game.
30 minutes. Asking
our lads to run around for 30 minutes is just impossible. And 3 games, one after the other. So yeah, it was it's a bit of a disaster when it came to that, but in general, just really good fun.
Are you a sports fanatic who loves to travel? Then sportspass.ie is for you. Log on for the chance to win the trip of a lifetime in 2023 to a top global sporting event. 8 winners get to choose from 12 incredible prizes, including trips to the Women's World Cup in Australia, the Super Bowl, the Masters and WrestleMania. All prizes include return flights, accommodation and tickets for 2 people from anywhere in the world. That's sportspass.ie. You win, you choose.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
All right, it's 14 minutes past 9. I'm delighted to say Jenny Claffey is here. We've been trying to do this piece for about a month. We finally got it together. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're looking for the 5, what was your criteria here? 5 most exciting, 5 most memorable, 5 most important?
Yeah, I suppose most memorable when myself and Jenny have been chatting about this for a few weeks now. So much has happened in tennis in 2022, starting with Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open, which seems like a lifetime ago, and then ending in Roger Federer's retirement and he and Nadal and bursting into tears and everything in between. So most memorable, I suppose, is what we worked off.
The tears. The two lads crying, bawling, couldn't look at each other.
It's the highlight, isn't it?
It's like,
That actually has to be the highlight, yeah. I think that this has been an incredible year for tennis in terms of like there's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows. We've seen some shocks. We've seen some, it's been a very exciting year, I think. I think my first biggest moment of the year has got to be the retirement of Roger Federer and Serena Williams, and then Ash Barty as well, like saying goodbye to the two of the biggest greats of the sport over the last 20 years. That's a huge loss to the game. There was obviously a lot of publicity about that and who's going to be the stars now come up and coming. But I think, saying goodbye to Roger and Serena has been a big loss in the year. That's my number one moment.
Yeah, and it's kind of 1 and 1A because like they both are the biggest thing that has ever happened. I think that maybe that's not fair. Serena's way ahead of Federer in terms of the impact in her side of the game. There's never going to be anybody like her. Whereas with Federer, you can at least argue that he was driven to his greatness by the other two at the same time coming along slightly behind him. But Serena is a unicorn.
Yes, yeah, she was something special. Like the Williams sisters came on the scene over 20 years ago and just revolutionised the women's game. They changed how the women's game was played. They brought this power that we hadn't seen on the women's side, like players before them, like Seles and Graf, even before them. They didn't play like that, and they came along and just completely transformed the game and dominated for 25 years nearly. And Serena with her 23 Grand Slams that we all talk about, the elusive 24th that she didn't quite get to, but yeah, she transcends the sport, and like her legacy is going to live on. Williams, she's an absolute amazing athlete and inspiration to so many people on and off the tennis court.
We've been asking for documentary recommendations. Is the Williams sisters movie any good? That I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I waited a good while.
One of my favourite films the last 5 years.
Oh really?
It's actually one of my favourite sports films ever, I think.
Really?
I thought it was brilliant.
Right.
I was nearly I was in tears at the end of it, for sure. Scene at the end where it's like just all comes together. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing just to see like the sheer determination of her dad, Richard, and like he was making tennis players out of those girls, and he did whatever it took to get them to the top. And yeah, I do think it was actually an amazing insight into what it was like, and a true story, obviously. So it's incredible.
Okay, so worth watching over Christmas.
Definitely one to watch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like another one as well. We had Sinead in there talking about the Untold series and the Marty Fish documentary. So for people who don't know, it's an American player, Marty Fish, who came up at the same time as Andy Roddick, talented but kind of lacked that mentality and was seen as a bit of, kind of didn't take it too seriously, and then completely overnight just changed his mentality and went to the other extreme. And the documentary culminates in him withdrawing from a match with Roger Federer at the US Open because it all just got too much for him, and he basically had a panic attack on court in the previous round. I was chatting about it with you, Jenny, and you saw it as well. Like, what's the difference in the top 100, even 200 players in the world? Is the ability level the same, and is it the mentality that separates?
Yeah, definitely. You see that from the girls and guys outside the top 200. Like, it's trying to break into that top 200 is a huge deal in the tennis game. Like, that's where once you get into this kind of top 200, you're nearly breaking into the Grand Slams. Top 100, you start making a living. It's like from there out, it is what separates the players is definitely mentality and that mental strength when you go out to play a match. Like, I remember turning up my first tournament and watching all these girls playing and going, oh my God, everybody here is amazing forehands, amazing backhands, amazing serve. How am I going to win a match? Step onto a match court and it's a different ball game altogether. And you go out and you see like you're annihilating girls like Love, and you go out and practice with them the day before and they're beating you in points in the warm-up. And it's just, it is what separates players ultimately, especially in an individual sport. It's all you, and on the day anything can go wrong. You can be...
It strikes me that tennis hasn't yet got good at building the support network around young players coming through in a way that is based on science as opposed to emotion. And maybe the Raducanu experience is feeding into this a little bit, but like if Marty Fish was a footballer now coming through, the club would go, okay, here's your personality test, here's your strength and conditioning, here's your psychologist, here's everything you need to do to become the best version of you. Now, I'm sure there's football clubs who aren't brilliant at that, but they would see that the return on investment is huge. It just feels like tennis is still kind of random individual parent driven or coach driven, and it's like, oh well, we've always done it this way and it worked for this one player. Am I wrong about that?
Well, there almost needs to be like a framework of what you need, like, and who you need in your team if you want to be the best. But when you start out, like using my own example, I went on the professional tour and I was only travelling with a fitness trainer at this time, and that was just because he was the boyfriend at the time, so he was travelling with me, and then my coach was here. So you're not travelling with this entourage that you see maybe with the top players, and then as you start to get a bit of traction, you start doing better, you realise actually I need a psychologist on my team, and I need another technical coach, and as you go on, then you're only adding what you feel like you need. There isn't like, okay, Jenny, this is Jenny, and she might be a bit weak at this, so we need to employ someone who's going to be good at that. That's not there in tennis.
Whereas actually you'd benefit from it much more at the start.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like the quantum leap you can make from having a psychologist early versus at the stage where you've already made it to a level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even if you use the example of two of the players on the tour, like Naomi Osaka, had amazing success. She's an incredible talent, amazing tennis player, has won 3 Grand Slams already, but now is suffering hugely with her mental health, compared to, let's say, Iga Swiatek, who is 21, won 3 Grand Slams, but has been travelling with her psychologist from the very start. So she's being well protected and she's managing that side of her game. And you can just see, like, comparing those two, like, I know obviously everyone's different, but that there is an absolute benefit to having that.
In your experience as a professional, is it an unwelcoming sport?
It's a tough sport. Yeah, it's a lonely place to be, and I think like you have to have the right personality almost to be an individual athlete and a tennis player as well. Like it's only you out there, and I use my own example. I was saying to you guys there, like I think I would have been better suited to a team sport, just because I would vibe off people if things weren't going well. Whereas when things are going well, it's all on you. You put it all on yourself. You've nobody to turn to. Like, especially as I said in those early days traveling, you're not with anybody. You could be going to dinner on your own, feeling really bad about yourself, like, and how do you bounce back? Like, you need to have those tools or somebody to bounce off to help you with that. But yeah, it not to say it's an unwelcoming sport, but it is a very tough sport.
Did you seek advice from other professionals?
Tennis players at the time? No, I figured it out myself that I was going to need, because I remember stark memory of like going out in that first tournament and thinking, what's going to be different about me and all those other girls out there, and then being like, okay, this is just mentality. Between what happens between your 2 years when I step onto a match court is ultimately going to dictate what happens. And my success. And then I remember I came back after playing about 6 tournaments, and I started doing a bit of work with Aidan Moore, and he's actually passed away now, but I was doing a little bit of work with him, and he was great. That was a really beneficial move, step in the right direction. I found that great for helping to get tools to help myself when I'm playing matches and develop this persona of like, I'm Jenny Claffey off the court, but when I step into the court, I'm a different, like my alter ego comes out, and you have to adapt this personality. And that was actually a very strange thing to have to do, because you're
Andy Lee talks about the ring walk, where like he's a normal human being and then he gets in the ring and he's a killer. Like, that's you need to do that, because otherwise you're going to get killed. I had this moment of like, I put on the headphones. Once put on my headphones before I warmed up, that was then I'm alter ego Jenny.
It's nearly like the golf documentary, The Short Game, where the kids are being ferried around by their parents to try and become professional golfers. Tennis kind of strikes me as the same, where there's this pressurised, you have to make it, and like there's a lot of pressure maybe from parents and coaches as well, but to be that individual, especially when you're younger, must be so tough. And as you say, it's like the women's hockey team who have themselves to celebrate with or to commiserate with. It's just you.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a part of the game that's not spoken about. As you said, we're a little bit behind in tennis. Like, there is a number of tennis players who have spoken out about the pressures and the difficulties with the individual sport of tennis. That's coming from the media, that's coming from, well, like obviously from yourself as well. Naomi Osaka being one, and that Marty Fish, that was a very powerful documentary that really highlighted how much your mental health plays a role in your sporting life.
Wasn't it somebody this year who on court is being interviewed and stops everything and says, and just want to point to Jelena Djokovic in the crowd as well? Was that this year?
Jelena Djokovic?
Djokovic, yeah.
She was interviewing her, wasn't it? Djokovic
is a media now. Yeah.
I'm mixing this up.
I think so, I'm not sure,
Djokovic was interviewing her on court.
I vaguely remember it, yeah.
No, I'm thinking it's all different then. I'll find it for you. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I like one person we haven't touched on fully yet is Ash Barty retiring, which you nearly forget about. Like, and the best player in the world. Like, in my analysis of it, like the women's game probably has never been stronger because we have such an array of Grand Slam champions. Like every Grand Slam tournament for the last year or two that we've been speaking, you and I like struggle to predict who's going to win it. Iga Swiatek maybe, but maybe not if she doesn't show up. Where is the women's game for you overall at the moment? Does it need a superstar like the big three and the men, or is it good at the moment because there's such an array of talent?
Well, I think my number 2 pointer and moment of the year has got to be the fact that we have a star in the women's game. I think in Iga Swiatek now, she showed a bit of her dominance this year. Once Ash Barty retired, which we'll have to go back to on that as well, but she retired and then Swiatek took over as the number 1 in the world and then went on this historic 37 match winning streak, won a French Open, and then we were all talking about her, and then she did actually back it up by winning the US Open this year, which was the first time a woman has done that in the last 6 years.
Yes.
So that's where that kind of gives us a bit of hope that there is a star in the women's game, and there is depth, as you said. Like we're seeing Ger in 2 Grand Slam finals this year. Yeah, I haven't forgotten that one. And then there's a few other stars, like we've seen Caroline Garcia. I was mentioning her to you. She's this French player who we've been talking about for about 10 years, and Andy Murray said, I think it was over 10 years ago, he's like, she's going to be a future world number 1, and it's taken almost till now to see her talent, and she got semis of the US Open, won the WTA finals there, so she's on form. We've Coco Gauff, so there is going to be much more players like Sakari from Greece, Sabalenka, like these players are challenging each week, but I do think we have a star in Swiatek.
But does she need a buddy? Because we need to get a rivalry, don't we? We need a rivalry.
I'm calling it's going to be a Gauff and Swiatek rivalry over the next.
But they played
years.
each other in the French Open final.
Yeah, but I still do think there's a lot more from Gauff, coming from Gauff. Like she's only 18.
Yeah,
she's been talking about it for the last 3 years since she beat Williams in and got to the 4th round of Wimbledon 3 years ago, and then she randomly this year got to not randomly, but was number 1 doubles player in the world for about a few weeks, and then she's obviously made the French Open final. Like only 18, has an incredible game, but I think it's going to be a Swiatek-Gauff rivalry. I'm calling it now. 3 years to come.
This time last year, if we were doing this, we would have been talking about Emma Raducanu for like the whole thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
Barely mentioned. Is that just one of those dates where just get a bloody coach, stick with the same coach, have a philosophy, follow the philosophy, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, it's kind of that is a bit of a strange one. Like winning, kind of, as we know, she won from qualifying. She came and won the US Open, and then since then she's actually just hired her 5th new coach in 18 months.
Yeah,
this week.
What's that about? What do you think's going on there with the coaches?
I know, but I guess just again from experience, you need to have stability in your team, and you need to have, as you said, like a set group of people who are going to then drive you forward. And if you're chopping and changing all the time, there's something not right there. But aside from that, again, she shot to fame overnight, and then the British press have absolutely built her up and then destroyed her again. So she's having to deal with that pressure and expectation. Again, the mental health side of the game, that's got to be difficult. She's only 18, 19 now, so there's a huge pressure on her shoulders. She's a superb tennis player. Like her game style is one to match Swiatek, I think. However, she's just not been given the chance to almost, she needs a few years experience on the tour. It would be almost better if she hadn't won the French Open, the US Open, and had the few years, to get more match experience. She hadn't even played on the tour for more than 3 months, I think.
Well, she was just in it, yeah. Wimbledon she came through last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, sorry, you said she's just as talented as Swiatek.
I think she has a game to match Swiatek, as in that would be a great match up for those to play each other. I think she could push Swiatek, but she needs more years on the tour, I think, to get experience. And again, in 3 years, 21, 22, that's a big...
Yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah,
but, needs to stick with a coach and a fitness program and just decide, and also get healthy. Sorry, it was Alizé Cornet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At the
Cornet, yeah.
Is this at Cornet? Is this at the Australian Open where she's telling Jelena Jokic how much
gives her a hug and all?
Yeah. That's it.
That was a great moment.
That was the Australian Open, was it? Am I right about that? Yeah. All right.
Recall?
We'll move on.
I don't recall.
It was great. It was a lovely moment either way. Yeah.
That was from Amy O'Connor's tweet stream about the sporting highlights of the year, the general highlights of the year. Okay, so we should talk about Nadal, who we thought might be finished but isn't, clearly.
Yeah, he's still got some unfinished business. He was 4th on my list of the best moments of the year. Has got to be Nadal reaching the 22 Grand Slam mark, and he's at the top now with the most Grand Slams. obviously winning the 14th Roland Garros. That's unbelievable. He dominated the first half of the year. It was unbelievable. US, Australian Open, French Open, and then semis of Wimbledon. And like, we obviously know all about the injuries that he was playing through in the French Open with the foot, whatever. He was playing with a numbed foot. Then he he actually had a fractured rib in April playing in Miami, I think, in a tournament, so he withdrew from that. And then he has an abdominal injury that he hasn't quite shaken since Wimbledon. But I think at the start of the year, nobody was thinking Nadal was going to have that kind of success. I think he hadn't played for the last 4 months of last year, and then he came in and won the first 3 tournaments of the year, and then came back from amazing 2 sets to love down the Australian Open final against Medvedev, and then from there, as I said, he's just dominated. And then he's just kind of, obviously injury has now kind of knocked him back, and then he's had the birth of a baby boy. I wonder how his priorities shifting. But again, we can never count out Nadal. Like, what a champion, and he's currently sitting at the top with 22 Grand Slams. Can we really rule him out of winning a 15th Roland Garros next year?
No. It goes back to mentality again, like you said. You know, his father and his box at Wimbledon quarter-final against Taylor Fritz were imploring him to retire injured, and he refused to. What is this guy's motivation just to keep on going?
That
month after month. It goes back to the mentality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What is that?
Stubbornness. Spanish stubbornness. That's what it is. Yeah, he's aggressive. I wonder, was he surprised by what he's achieved at the start of this year? Like,
I think the Australian Open.
I didn't think I'd be.
Yeah, I do think
was the match of the year. Like,
definitely. Yeah,
Daniel
that
Medvedev
final.
is, hardcore outside of Djokovic, is the best hardcore player.
Had won the US Open at the end of last year. Yeah.
And Nadal, how did he stay in that match, and then how did he win it in the 5th? I remember watching that abroad, and this totally transfixed me.
Yeah, but he's just the grit and determination that Nadal has is him and Djokovic are probably on par with that. He's just that will to win. He just will not give up. And as you said, like, his box were screaming at him the whole time in that Wimbledon quarter-final.
I think people feel like Messi they do about Nadal in football and tennis. They just want him to achieve as much as he possibly can before he finishes, whereas Djokovic has the Cristiano vibe to him, like that he's just trying his best to be liked. And
he's incredible Nadal. I think that his mentality is something that it's unmatched. I do think like Djokovic is probably the next best to him, but I don't think we can count Nadal out just yet. I really think could contend next year.
Yeah, obviously it'll be a slightly trickier Australian Open because Djokovic has made peace with the authorities. I think Djokovic managed to get away with a lot here because he did definitely falsify documents the first time around, like, which, that should have been like lifetime, you can't do that. But anyway, everybody's decided whatever, and he will be back, and tennis has its pantomime villain, and he loves the role, and he's pretty good at it.
But we were talking about this before. We're like, he laps it up and he seems to rise to it, but he actually does have the like me personality. Like, he's trying so hard still to win over crowds, yet he can play a match and know that 90% of the crowd are against him and come back and win. Like, I'm dying to see him playing in the Australian Open this year, what the crowds are going to be like.
Oh my, it's going to be incredible, isn't it? Because that's what we were saying, if he was going to be allowed to play in January, imagine the crowd reaction.
They were hating him last year.
I think he really wants to be loved. That's why he broke down in tears in the 2021 US Open final against Medvedev when he lost, because people loved him. That was the biggest victory for him. But then his mentality against Kyrgios, the Wimbledon final, to lose the first set, and Kyrgios doing well in the second set, Djokovic just didn't panic. Imagine facing that.
Yeah, it's just, that's what I mean. Again, you said the mentality goes back to that mentality of just like, he's just so steely like Djokovic. Like, and I remember he was playing Murray when Murray won Wimbledon, and Murray was 2 sets to love up, and I think he was like 5-4 up or 5-2 up, sorry. So he had a double break in the third set. Murray was serving for it, and he said after the match he knew that if he didn't hold in that game, like, I think there's lots of, he had maybe 4 match points or something. He was like, he knew if he didn't hold in that game, he's 2 sets to live up, a double break up in the third, that if he didn't hold, he thought that he'd lose the match against Djokovic.
Some mentality like
that is just like, to never count yourself out. Like, and I think there's a lot, like, he's 5th on my list for the moment. So 2022 Djokovic, the Novak's Djokovic, how he started off the year so politically, and then how he is just this guy who's just not going to go away. He's not going away.
He will end up with the most. Like, if it kills him, whatever, he'll do whatever it takes to get there.
I think I said last year, one of my first times on the show, I said he's going to win 30 Grand Slams. If it wasn't for this year, I think, and he's 35 now, but he still won Wimbledon this year. Like, in 2021, the season, he won 3 Grand Slams. He got to the final of the other. Okay, then this year he wins Wimbledon. He's won 18 of his last 19 matches. He won the ATP finals there at the end of November. He's on form in Australia. I think he's going to be the one to beat.
Yeah.
We're completely out of time. Is there anything we haven't mentioned that was like we should have spent more time on? But
Carlos Alcaraz,
God,
the youngest number one tennis player in the world. Yes, the new star in the men's game. That's what I had to talk about. Like, yeah, that's incredible. He's an incredible talent. He is. Yeah, he's unmatched. I think he's going to be a real star of the future. Like we've obviously already called that now. But I'm looking forward to a Djokovic Alcaraz rivalry over the next year.
What's the over under on how many Grand Slams he's going to win?
Alcaraz.
Yeah.
Over 10, under 20.
It's a big spread. I might need like a 13 to 15.
Okay, let's say I'll say 15.
Okay, all right.
15, yeah.
That'll be
that's a lot.
Good.
That's
14
that
to
is
go.
A lot.
Yeah, that's a lot actually, to be fair. Maybe I might. I think Djokovic is more likely to get to 30 than he is to 15.
You've said it now, though.
That's a big call, actually,
Yeah.
considering the age difference.
Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah.
Jenny, great
I may
stuff.
eat my words.
A happy Christmas to you.
And you too, guys. Thanks very much.
OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. We're back tomorrow. Daniel Harris talking about Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. Turin's Fergal Boland's going to be with us, and we'll speak with former Irish sprint record holder Ailish McSweeney. She's working with Sanctuary Runners, and they're getting everybody out to run to the North Pole, metaphorically, between now and Christmas. We'll talk to her on the show tomorrow and tell you a bit more about that. Right now, we're going to leave you with an interview with Davy Russell, who obviously announced his retirement this week. We were down in Youghal during the summer ahead of the Listowel Harvest Festival to talk through his career. It felt at the time like he was getting ready to say goodbye. So sit back, relax and enjoy what it was like in the sunshine. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
I grew up here. This is where I was born, but I know nothing only here. And we had a brilliant upbringing here. Like
totally idyllic. Like
that
time you were on with us and you turned the camera around to look out the window, it was just like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It is really just the beach is a kilometre away.
That's class.
You know, it's just an outstanding place to be reared and be brought up, and I missed it when I moved away from here. I always wanted to come back here. Yeah, when you buy a horse, you buy what you want. When you breed, you get what you get.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
There's 2 gates.
Yeah, 2 gates. Yeah.
Why?
Then there's other mares in here. Then there's more mares in here. Pretty Moon is a very good brood mare. I've only one flat mare.
Right.
I find it very difficult to get in because look, the money can be very strong, but if you look hard enough, you know, there's loads of value there.
Yeah.
You just need to hit on the right mare and get lucky.
Yeah.
You know, but by the time, if you're not breeding good horses in their first or second or third foals,
you know,
you've an old mare, you know, but then it's a disease. Like it's just a very passionate game, and you hang on to them and you hang on. You're hoping, you're praying, and fingers crossed.
And would you ever be interested in like keeping them to run them?
Yeah, we do. So my dad, we bred a filly, and we kept her, and she ran the other day, her first run on the race course, and she was second. She would have beaten a neck in Quebec the other night, and hopefully she'll win a race. And there's other bonuses along the way, so that for you pay a sum of a couple of €100 at either when they're foals, yearlings, or up to their 3-year-olds, and then you get a bonus if you win a mare's race. Okay. You get a bonus of 5,000 for a bumper.
Incentivized to keep them there.
Yes, you're incentivized to run them.
Yeah.
So the breeder puts in everything. Right. So he keeps the mare. He puts the mare in foal. He's got a lot of vet bills. It's a lot of risk. A lot of risk. So then, for him to keep that going and to run a mare, he has an incentive to do that now, which is good.
He said it's a drug.
It is a drug. Animals in general are a drug, I suppose. Whether it's your own pet dog or cat at home, you mind them, you know, as if they're children, and we're the same. You know, there's a lot of feeling towards these animals. You know what I mean?
It's always on as well. That's the other thing. Like it's not a job.
Oh no, it's a
lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like before I can decide to go anywhere or do anything, these have to be looked after. Someone has to be here. They have to be checked. Like there is a human being inside in the field with these every single day, and whether it's for 30 seconds or Sometimes you can walk into a field, you can spend half an hour inside in the field and just
making sure everything's all right.
Or even just spending time with them.
Are you interested at all in getting into the training side of it?
I would love to be able to train horses. As a younger person, I would have been really keen, but no.
No, that's yeah.
No, this is just another side of it. It's just a lot of money to get set up. You have to start right back down at zero.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have no bother taking it off and starting it. But look, if the lads grow up and they want to ride point to points, I've no bother putting in a gallop and training a few horses.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm 43 now. By the time I'd be up to 100 plus horses and competitive, you know, I'd be well into age, and then, you know, I've put everything into being a jockey. I've absolutely emptied the tank.
Yeah.
So this is it then. This is where it all began and where it's all going to finish.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my first ride in my dad's colours, and I'd love to have my last ride in my dad's colours. We'll take Folly out of the box there.
And would you be encouraging your kids to become a jockey?
No, but I don't really have to. They're kind of encouraging me to help them along the way.
So they're mad into it.
They're mad into it. Yeah, they love the horse, and it's great. They're out amongst animals, and it's a great way of life. And
the hardness of the life of the jockey is something, though, that are you happy enough for them to follow in the family business?
Well, I wouldn't have done anything else.
Right.
And I loved it, every minute of it, every single minute of it. I loved it being a jockey. I have just lived the dream. From when I was a chap, there used to be pony races in that field in there.
Right.
There used to be flapper in around there, and I rode a winner around there as a 14 or 15-year-old kid, and all I wanted to be was ride horses. That's all I wanted to do. And then I wanted to ride a winner, and I done that. And then I wanted to be champion point-to-point rider, champion novice rider, and I done that. And then I wanted to be champion senior rider, and then I wanted to turn professional, and I wanted to ride in a Grand National. I dreamt about winning Grand Nationals. I dreamt of, and lucky for me, I've been able to live that dream and ride the roller coaster.
And now Davy Russell shakes up Tiger Roll. Magic of Light in second, Rathvinden in third. Walk in the Mill is back in fourth. Tiger Roll is remarkable. He comes up towards the winning line under Davy Russell to win his second Randox Health Grand National. Tiger Roll joins the greats and beats Magic of Light, a massive run. In second, Rathvinden third, cleared Walk in the Mill, Annabelle Fly, and then one for Arthur.
If my kids had half the experience that I had, but they'll have their education first, and they can make up their own mind. I'm not going to be telling them to go one way or another, and if they want to go down that route, they'll get all the assistance, and if they don't want to go down the route, I'm not going to tell them that's the route they need to go down.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah, but it is a great game. It's the best game. It is the best game in the world, and there's a certain art in that. There's a certain art in able to walk out to a field, throw a bridle on a horse, saddle and bridle on a horse, and jump up on his back and take off galloping. Yeah, where will we go? Down to the farm, okay. We better go then, will we? Yeah, go on. No, you're not going to the trailer. You jump in the back. Too dangerous.
So what are we going to watch or see here?
So the 2-year-olds are here. So some of them are bred and some of them are bought.
Right.
So some of them were born here, some of them were bought at the sales as foals, and different things. We're in horses for so long and we still can't figure them out. I live with them basically, and still they'll surprise you every day. You know what I mean? These are 2-year-olds now, so That one there on the right is a daughter of Folly Stargate, the mare we took out of the box.
Right.
And the lad on the left is a French horse that I bought in France.
And what's your ambition with these? How long do you want to keep them? What's the...
Oh, well, so now they're in their 2-year-old year now, so they'll all turn 3 in January.
Right.
1st of January, that's when every horse turns 3. And they will, they'll come in and they will start their prep. Then, you know, kind of, they'll come in during the worst of the weather and I'll start introducing different things from a bit in their mouth, handling them, you know, they'll go on the walker, they'll have a little lunge to make sure that they're sound, that they've good wind. She's a beautiful filly, you know. She's just a marvellous headner now. She's a great headner. But she's a homebred there, that filly that she belonged to Dad. She's a Milan, she's by Milan. There's an innocent old chap there now, that lad, he was bought in France. Lovely quiet horse, you know, lovely tempered horse. He's a beautiful frame, that horse. He just has to fill in. I don't have him that long, but when he fills into his frame.
I was going to ask that. How much bigger will they get?
Well, they're all roughly around 16 hands now. You know, a little bit under, a little bit over. I rode Big Zeb one day in a novice chase around Fairhouse, over 2 miles. He got beat, and I said, geez, when you step him up to 3 miles, he's going to be a very good horse.
Yeah.
He never stepped over 2 miles, and he still was he won a Queen Mother.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was by Oscar. He was bred to stay.
So even at that age, you can't.
Well, I should have known, but I didn't. I got it wrong. But he Rangers plan is a business.
Right.
So you breed them to sell them, to make money,
and go again.
Get a wage.
Yeah.
To keep the whole thing going, to keep the whole thing professional and run right, and keep my fields, my farm. You know, pay for all the things that need to be paid for on a farm. You just don't sit back and watch the grass grow. You know, there's a load of things have to go along in with it, and you need money for that, and there's no point. You keep putting in your own money, you're going to be broke pretty quick.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure the temptation sometimes is, this one's special, we should just keep it, but actually that's not...
Yeah, no, not for me. It's everything is for sale. Right. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a business. It's a business. So they were bought to be bred, to be sold. Right. You know, and they're bought to be sold. That someone else will raise them. You know what I mean? So, and that's the plan. She'll bite you, Liam. She will. Will you get up? Do you want to get up on her? Do get up on her. Go on.
I love you, Dad.
Did you do something wrong? What do you have to do? You're out to doing something, show me. What do you have to do? Change your stick into your other hand. Where'd you put it? Where is it? I'm gonna... You can't drop your stick. So when we were riding around there, actually in that gap there used to be a jump. There used to be a jump when I was a kid. And we'd go out the gate, you'd ride them, the beach is a kilometre away, so you'd...
Down to the beach and stretch it out there.
Yeah, and you'd ride them away back home again, and you'd be on your pony for, you know, an hour and a half or however long it would take.
And was it always the dream to be a national hunt jockey even when you're on the ponies? Were you looking at the Grand National going,
yes,
that's what I want to do?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah, but I used to love flat racing, obviously, because, you know, just racing in general, but it was more so show jumping.
Right, okay.
Marion News, Eddie Macken, Paul Dara.
It was on TV.
Yeah, it was on TV.
Yeah.
All of them things.
So as a kid, that would have been more your ambition than...
Well, it was just horses.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it was, whether it was Dublin Horse Show or whether it was the Grand National or whether it was the Derby or whatever was on the telly. Dad would bring us to the Point of Points on a Sunday, and Adrian Maguire was riding of a Sunday.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you know, a couple of years later, here he is riding winners on the television as a professional
So
jockey.
that made it real.
So that made it real, yeah. So you can basically touch Adrian Maguire of a Sunday in a point to point.
And then watch him on the
And
television.
then watch him on the television winning on Omerta or...
So that's when it becomes a potential career, like...
Well, it's very close. It's not that... It's not as far away as sitting in the stands watching Ronaldo scoring a goal, or that's a long way away, like, you know what I mean, or sitting at home watching it on television or watching the Premiership or whatever it is. And Dad was brilliant. Like, Dad, we'd just go off to the point of points, we'd land, he'd give you a $5 and he'd say, I'll meet you back at the car. The minute they crossed the line for the last race, he says, or I'll be gone. And many a day he'd be in the queue on the way out the gate and we'd have to run down to the car. So you learn fast to try and beat him to the car, because when we were riding point of points then, or when I was a kid, we used to go out country, like, so out, you know, wherever the stand or the bookies or the parade ring was, we used to go out to country, out further out, and try and catch the loose horses.
Right.
So that we could ride them back in.
Right, okay.
So that was it was always a bonus if you caught a loose horse and rode them back in. So, you know, anything at all. I suppose I worked really, really hard on looking like a jockey. My first winner was pure luck. I went to point to point. I had a couple of rides for local lads, Sean Ahern and different lads. Still had no winner ridden. Was getting a couple of rides, you know, turning up on a Sunday. You might have one ride, there could be spares going, so you might end up with 2 or 3. And so I went to Tallow with maybe 1 or 2 rides for Sean Ahern. And then this horse was going spare. And I had schooled him the week before. And he said, you ride him away there. And he won.
Right.
And then the next week, I rode another winner. And then kind of... the week after that, I rode a winner on the track.
Right.
And then at the end of the season, I became champion novice rider, under 21 champion, and
this is point to points.
Point to points,
right?
Yeah. And that was it, and it just never stopped. It just kept going and going and going and going and going. And then I was going out walking a point to point course out the road, you know, the Thursday or Friday before it was on. I just go out and walk, see what the ground was like, and it was a local one. So, and I met a man there, and he says, "Oh, I need to talk to you." He says, "We need to have a meeting." So Adrian Maguire was after retiring, and I got the job then in Ferdy's, and that was it. Then I turned professional.
And had you met Ferdy before, or was that?
I'd ridden for him as an amateur.
Right.
Yeah, my first ride in Cheltenham at the festival was for Ferdy.
Okay.
Yeah. Philly with loads of confidence. So Ferdy was brilliant. He's a great man on his jockeys. Like, you know, he just kept telling me like how far we were going to go, like, you know.
Group together as they continue now with 3 to jump. Celestial Halo the leader by 2 lengths, followed in second place by Sublimity. Donna's Palm on the inside. Solwith is in 4th, and then Torfetian. Celestial Halo, Sublimity, Donna's Palm, Solwith, Torfetian and Bahrain Storm, and then one in the dark, and only 6 lengths covering the field as they begin the turn out of the back straight. Celestial Halo, Sublimity playing his hand a bit earlier than usual on the outside. Donna's Palm in 3rd, Solwith in 4. They're followed by Bahrain Storm, then Torfetian, and one in the dark brings up the rear. Running down towards the second last, Celestial Halo being asked to raise his efforts. Sublimity there on the outside, Solwith making his move on the outer. Donna's Palm just behind them at the second last, and it's Sublimity who lands in front from Celestial Halo. Solwith around the outside, Donna's Palm's in 4, and they're clear of the rest as they round the turn. Sublimity with Solwith coming there on the outside, Donna's Palm into 3rd. Celestial Halo looks beaten. They level up for the final flight now, and it's Solwith on the outside. Solwith from Sublimity. Donna's Palm in 3rd. They're clear of Celestial Halo as they race down to the final flight in the Toshiba Irish Champion Earl. Solwith and Davy Russell from Sublimity at the last. Solwith the leader from Sublimity. Clear of Donna's Palm, made a bit of a mistake, and then Celestial Halo, but Solwith the favourite's going to deliver and achieve a 5th Grade 1 win as they race up the line. Solwith powering away. The win is in good style. Donna's Palm might get up for 2nd. He does. Sublimity's 3rd. Celestial Halo 4 a long way back to one in the dark, and then Bahrain Storm and Torfetian. So Solwith has what it takes yet again and continues his march towards the Smurfit Kappa Champion Hurl at Cheltenham. The 6 to 5 on favourite wins it, and wins it well for Charles Burns, Davy Russell and the Top of the Hill Syndicate.
Everybody talks about home having a certain pull, but like this place is beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, and I actually love it all year round. Would you believe? Like it's like we're lucky here now. They've put a boardwalk in the whole way, the whole length of the beach, and you know, it's busy. Like, you know, and I like a busy place and a place that's being used.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a beautiful place. And I know people, as I said, like Lily, Dara that teaches Lily, and her husband used to shoe my ponies when I was a kid, and I just loved that, having them people around, you know, over a long period of time, and you build up friends and relationships and things like that. So it's always nice to have that comfort.
Like you were never tempted to move to Meath or Kildare for business purposes?
No way, yeah, I was, and I did. I lived in Tipperary. I lived in Tipperary for a couple of years, but always with the view to earn enough money to come back and stay to live here. It is. I love you all. I love everything about it.
Are you starting to think now the end is in sight for you? Is there a clock on that, I suppose I'm asking?
Well, sure, people put a clock on it. I don't have a clock on it because I looked after myself so well over the years. Look, injuries and things will take its toll, and you know, your body just won't be able to take the falls as much as they used to. And look, I'm on the back 9. Do you know what I mean? So it's easy to kind of say it, to speak in that kind of terms, but at the same time, you know, I've had 3 or 4 rides this year, and 3 rides, and the 3 have finished second, and I still just love riding horses. I absolutely adore it.
In races though, because like you could ride around at home. It's the race, the adrenaline.
The race, yeah. It's the trying to figure it out. It's just I love riding horses in races, and I love being a jockey. I really do, and I'd love to ride for another 10 years. But that's not going to be possible, you know, because there's no point in riding unless, well, for me, there's no point in riding unless I'm riding at the very, very top.
Well, you've reached the top, so you couldn't settle now, right?
You know, so the day that I don't ride at the very, very top is the day that it'll have to stop for really. Like,
that's the motivation to keep going and keep minding your weight and keep minding everything, really.
Yeah, I got fat when I broke my neck.
To come back from that, because a lot of people thought that maybe that's a good opportunity to say, right, I've had a great career, I have plans already made for the future, but you decided against that.
Yeah, I didn't want the game to finish me. I wanted to finish on my own terms. I didn't want to... Look, I went to the doctor, I asked, can I ride again? And he said yes, it's very fixable. And then everybody just said that's it for him, you know, he's finished. I know him, you know him, we all know him, he's done and dusted. And without the help of, you know, so many people and the goal to get back to ride, I don't think I would have mended as well as I did.
It's funny, is it important to you too that your kids get to know you in this phase of your life?
Yeah, I love
and they experience that.
See them. I love for them to see me as a jockey. Sure, look, I don't really know, but I'm sure a lot of other sports people, you know, may not get that opportunity, you know, and I'd love to. I just see a glow in them when they see me riding horses.
The clock towers behind us here. You managed to bring Tiger Roll down after a Grand National. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. It was really special to bring them down here, especially to my hometown, and to have that connection. And you know, obviously, the public came out to see him. Like, it's not much good if you're walking him down and people are wondering what's he doing here. But like, it was brilliant. The public came out to see him, and we walked up the whole way up to town. He went up to the Green Park, and it was a beautiful thing. It was just a beautiful thing to be able to do, you know, but most importantly, the people actually came out to see him.
A lot gets made whenever sports people bring their kids onto the pitch, or you know, they're in the winners' enclosure or wherever. But actually, getting to have your family around you, celebrating in the aftermath of a victory like that, that's very special.
Yeah, it is, because like I don't see my kids. You know, when you're in the thick of it, I'm gone before they get up, and I'm home when they're in bed, so I don't get to see them that often. And the explanation to why is because I want to win a Grand National, and then they see it afterwards, and they get as much of a kick out of it as I do, and I suppose I'm trying to explain to them that these are the fruits of your labour, you know, and this is why I don't get to bring you to school in the morning.
Is that trade-off something else that's working away in your head when you're thinking about retirement, that like those sacrifices, you've made them and you've reached the top, but at some point it might be nice not to have to make those sacrifices?
No, when I was an amateur, I thought when I turned professional, this is going to be an awful lot easier. You know, I'm going to drive a big car and I'm going to arrive